What's up, my loves and fellow creatives? I'm about to do some work for class tomorrow, and I know a lot of you ask how to create templates, and we're just talking about the blank templates for different type of substrates. So I am doing that for a few items I have, and thought y'all might want to tag along. Bear with me just a moment. I'm just trying to let folks know that I'm over on YouTube right now. Alright, so I made that little post and I can go ahead and get off of Facebook. Hey, loves. I'm doing a little catch up here. I cannot tell y'all how crazy this week has been, but I'm blessed to be here and blessed to be here with you all. So I'm preparing for class, and I am just creating I'm going to create mock-ups, and I'm also going to create templates from photos that I took. So I wanted y'all to see this process. Normally I do this kind of thing on my own. I don't bother nobody, but I figured that this would be a good opportunity to teach. So here we are. Let me find this folder real quick. And where are we? There we go. All right, so here's some photos that I took, and I'm just going to go ahead and show you before I do anything else with them. Just straight up took some photos, and horrible photos at that. Like, I take horrible pictures. I am not a photographer by any means. So if I can do it, you can do it. You even see me with my little slippers on right there. This is from the house, making the business work. I am literally grabbing a few photos so that I can make some mock-ups. That's it, okay? So I'm going to show you what I do with each of them. The first thing is I need the photo of the full length of the tie, and you'll see here, let me make it a little bit bigger so maybe you can see here. Y'all let me know if y'all can't hear me or anything. All right, so I'm doing a little bit of scaling here. So I place the item. I'm going to also place a ruler, or in this case a tape measure beside it, so that I can hopefully accurately gauge how big this is. I try to take the image flat. That's not always going to happen, but there are ways in which we can kind of ensure that our image is as non-skewed as possible, okay? So that's the tie, and then we have the pocket square, and then that's a folded version of the pocket square. So the folded version I'm going to use for the mock-up, and then the full out version I'm going to use for my blank template. Same thing with the tie. The full pulled out version I'm going to use for the template, and then the rolled up version here I'm going to use for the mock-up, just because I think you don't need to see the full length of the tie. Usually what you want to see is right here in this area. And then the cufflinks, my shadow was horrible because my lighting is horrible in the room. So all I really need to show is that, you know, we have the cufflink and we have the sublimatable disc there that we're going to superimpose the image on. Okay, and I forgot to get the size of that disc, so I'll probably run down at some point in time and go grab that to do this. So this is going to take a little time, and at least y'all get to see what it is that I'm doing when I'm preparing for courses for you all. It is a little bit of a big deal. So I'm going to let y'all get on for just a second. I'm going to go run and get the measurement of that little disc right there real quick, because I think that's the only thing that I'm missing a measurement for, and I will be right back. Okay, give me just a moment, y'all. Okay, y'all, so I'm back. It was 11/16, and if I don't put that down somewhere, I'm probably gonna forget. So let me just put it on the title here. So the insert itself is 11/16. All right, so let's start with the pocket square, right? I was thinking about starting with the tie, but let's start with the pocket square. I think that's going to be our simplest situation there. And what I'm doing here is I'm just looking at the image and understanding that this is about 9 inches here, right? So I could be very, very precise, and I'm going to make a 9-inch by 9-inch artboard. Okay, so let's do that first. File, new, be 9 inches by 9 inches. I make my resolution 150 for sublimation because you don't really need 300, and sometimes these files get huge. So let's start with the simplest thing. It's a square, you know? So not much we can do to mess this one up. So if I show you the square first, then of course when we make the tie and the cufflinks, it should come together a little bit better on how we create the template and also the mock-up, okay? So let's go ahead and pull in the photo. I'm gonna make this a bit smaller. The square image here. So I'm just gonna drag and drop it in. All right, now of course it is not to scale. So my thing that I want to do right now is just make this 9 inches to match up with the ruler. Now I'm not stretching this disproportionately, which I think I did because I didn't have my proportional link on. So let's drag and drop that one more again. Drag and drop, okay. Oh, my link was on. See how the link is on here? This lets me know that my ratio is going to be locked. And like I said, my objective is to make sure that that 9 mark to the top of the ruler meets up and then the bottom of the ruler. And I'm going to have to back up, so I'm doing Control minus a couple times to back up out of here. And of course I need a little bit taller because that's my 9 right there. And you can see it's a little bit, you know, skewed. Maybe not necessarily skewed, but it's probably a little bit of perspective there, because even though we try to, we are not scanners, so we don't have a flat bed hand. So a flat bed ensures that when you lay something on it and you scan it, it's completely flat. So when it captures that image, it's most likely going to be to scale. When you're taking photos of something, you're taking it at a certain angle. You have you might have rotated it a little bit as well. Like I said, have that little perspective in there. And what I'm doing here is I'm leaving a little bit of space here on the side so I can tell if I might need to shift or do anything, okay? So the first thing I want to do is level out this edge here because I want to make sure that I'm going to start from a clean edge. So I'm going to Control T and I'm just going to rotate a little bit until I feel like this has pretty much consistently the same amount of space down the side, and I'm okay with that. All right, and I'm going to inch it towards that end a little bit to see how my eye is doing, and it looks like I'm okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and view my rulers. So let's view some rulers here because we're going to definitely need those rulers today. All right, and then right now you see I have pixels up here on my ruler. If I right click and I click on inches, bam, now I get inches. All right, and I'm going to put a line, a guideline up here. And if you pull from the ruler, that's how you create your guidelines. And I'm just going to take that guideline and rest it up against this ruler so that I can see, am I really rotated properly or is my image skewed a little bit? I'm going to play with that just a little so I can see I can at least rotate it just a tad. And then before I lock it in, I'm just checking it here. And I have to keep zooming out because my photo is so much larger than my area here that I'm working on. And it does not have to be perfect, y'all. I just want you to understand the part of the process, okay? So this is good enough for me. I have some clear understanding. I did not, now if I had taken that picture at a really weird angle, I would actually have to do my best to distort this to make it square. But I think I'm pretty good here. So now what I'm gonna do is, I know this is 9 inches. I'm gonna go ahead and push this over to the center to where I completely see my entire object here. Now at this point in time, this is a square, so this seems like if this is to scale, then this will be a decent amount of bleed area, but I'm going to give myself a little bit more. As a matter of fact, so this is 9 by 9. I'm probably not going to give myself that much more. Let me think for a second. If I were doing my 13 by 19 paper and I wanted to do 2 9s, and that would give me 18. I'm trying to see how I can get 2 of these to a sheet, if you understand what I'm thinking right now. Because if I want to sublimate both the front and the back of the cloth at one time, this is going to be perfect for me. So what I'm going to do, I'm creating the printable file and the template at the same time. Then that way I don't have to do a whole bunch of extra work. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to double click on this background. That way it makes it editable. So now I get to tell what size this background is. Let's see. And I probably will end up changing my canvas size. So let's just go ahead and change the canvas size. So I'm going to make this an artboard. We'll say that it's going to be custom sized. And I'm going to make this 13 by 19, just so that I know it's a 13 by 19. And I have to put inches, because if I don't put the IN for inches, it'll think I'm talking about pixels. So 13, and then I'll do 19 inches in height. That will be my paper size. All right, so there we go, 13 by 19. And I know my stuff is to scale at this point, so I'm not really worried about anything else. I'm going to go ahead and take my image and drop it on my artboard. And now that I know it's roughly what I need it to be, I'm just going to cut out just the image now. I don't need the ruler anymore. As long as I don't, mistakenly resize this. So I'm just going to Control C, Control V, because that image there is huge for no reason. I don't even need it anymore. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and create a shape. So let me make sure y'all can hear me and stuff, because I'm just talking and I don't even know if y'all can hear me. Yeah, you will not have to do any of this stuff. This is all going to be done for you for class tomorrow. This is me actually prepping for class tomorrow, because I still will have to show you the demo of the class. But I've been, playing catch up this past 2 weeks now, so I figured I might as well come live and at least show y'all how I do what I do behind the scenes. So this is the stuff that is not necessarily the pretty and fun stuff, but it's the necessary stuff. All right, so if y'all have any questions, even if it's about the academy or anything else, feel free to ask me. I'm just kind of getting my little work on in the meantime. So this is approximately, I'm just measuring here, about 8 and we'll say 8.5 inches. Okay, so let's say this is an 8.5 inch by 8.5 inch pocket square. So maybe it started off as 9, and by the time they did the hand rolling and the seaming on the edge, it ended up being about 8.5 inches square. So we're gonna just go off of that premise that it's 8.5 inches square. I'm gonna go ahead and make this 9 inches. So I'm going to bring my guideline to 9 inches, just so that I have a fair amount of little bleeding around it. I don't want too much bleeding because we're just wasting product. But I'm also going to make it so that I can either leave it white on one side and just sublimate one side and, kind of do it that way, or I can sublimate both sides. Now, however you do is really up to you. It depends on, also what your clients are paying for. So I probably will end up doing these both sides, or I'm going to sublimate one side and see if the color shows through enough on the other side, then it will be fine. But if it doesn't, then I will sublimate the back side as well. All right, so let's do it. I'm going to create a square here because this is real simple. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool. I'm going to just tap on the artboard here, and it's going to ask me to enter the details for the rectangle. I have to take these down to 0 because that's going to round my corners, and I don't want round corners. I just want it to be a straight up box. And then as far as the width goes, I'm going to tell it I want it 9 inches. I have to put the I in, otherwise it's going to think by default I mean pixels. So 9 inches by 9 inches. Boom, there we go. There's a shape. All right, so there's one, and then if I want to go ahead and create another, I'm just going to Alt. See how I get the double arrows when I hold down Alt? I'm going to click and drag, and now I have a second one. Now that I made this 9 inches by 9 inches, that means I'm going to end up with an 18-inch area combined. All right, so if I happen to sandwich this handkerchief in there, then that would give me the option to just fold this and maybe even do a little tack spray and sublimate the front and back, you know, not simultaneously, but at least to where it's sandwiched, and I just flip the image, sort of how we do with the taco method with the socks, right? So I'm just moving it more towards the center of the page so I can see that I do have some space here. And when I end up developing this, well, I am developing this as the template for class tonight, I'm going to have whatever free space depending on, because most of you are printing from 13 by 19 printers. So whatever free space that I find, that's how I'm going to develop the template to later take up, well, this will be part 2 of the tie, because the tie is 60 inches long, right? That's a lot of tie to cover. So, and especially if you're going to do front and back of the tie, because you may not want to leave the back white, or you may want to leave it white because, like I said, that budget concern there. So you can maybe show someone what it looks like for a one-sided handkerchief and a two-sided handkerchief and let them pay the difference. If you don't want to give them that option because you always want your stuff to look tip-top, then just charge accordingly. Don't undercut yourself. All right, so this is now going to be a 9 by 18. So instead of combining these rectangles, I'm just going to go ahead and make a 9 by 18 rectangle. So when I click on one rectangle, let me get rid of the other one, I can change the dimensions of it. So the height now is going to be 9 plus 9, which is 18. And you'll see that, oh, you know what? I scaled it. So I have to take the link off so it doesn't scale it. And then I'm going to put 18 for the height, 9 inches for the width, and there we go. So then that way it's continuous. I don't have to worry about there being like a little slight line in there. All right, and maybe I do want them separate. Let me go back. I have to think about what I want to do. I'm going to make them separate, and the reason why is because I want to make sure that, let me see if I can go back to where, I thought I could go back to where I deleted it. Delete layer. Oh well, it doesn't take anything to remake it. So I'm just going to alt click and drag that square again. Because what I'm thinking of is maybe you want to do one pattern on one side and another pattern on the other side, and the fact that these are two different shapes, maybe you want to have a variation there. So I'm going to leave a little crack, just a tiny crack between the two, so that I can tell that those are two different squares, at least for now anyway. See that tiny little crack? That's going to let me know that's my little fold area there, because if I fold exactly on that line, then no matter if I have the same thing on both sides or not, it will line up with my square. All right, so honestly I don't need this anymore, but what I do need it for is the mock-up. If I'm going to mock it up, I think I'm going to mock it up with either the flat, so on your mock-up you'll be able to do the flat one or the folded one. So let's go ahead and clean this up for the mock-up later. All right, all I'm going to be doing is seeing if I can get this background out of the image. So I'm clicking on any of my selection tools, and I'm going to go to select subject just to see if Photoshop is going to be able to guess what it is that I want to keep. And the tolerance was up to 32. That's kind of what it is by default. And you see that it did miss a little area here. I'm going to go to select and mask so that I can refine this edge and give it a second. For the view, I'm going to go to overlay so it'll make it red wherever it won't select the information. And so the only place that it really disappointed me was down at the bottom, although it's taking its sweet little time dragging around. So I'm going to add to the selection here. And I apologize, y'all. My computer, and this is my good computer too, seems to have an issue with doing these lives with Photoshop. I think Photoshop is using up more and more of my available RAM, even especially when I'm doing the live recordings. So here you see there's a plus sign and a minus sign. The plus sign means I'm going to add to that selection, and I have my little it's not the magic wand, it's the quick selection tool. Quick selection tries to guess what you really want to select. So as I run down here, I'm just going to give it a little second because it will let the computer think, and it will try to guess whether it's selecting the proper pixels or not. And see how it highlighted that black down there, and then it thought about it and it said, oh no, I don't think she wants that, because that was part of the shadow. So now it looks like I have everything cleanly selected here. It looks good. I don't know why I'm using this mouse to scroll, because it is taking forever. All right, so now I am going to do a tad bit of smoothing, and this is taken with a cell phone, so there should be a decent resolution here, especially with the iPhone, but I am going to smooth it out just in case those pixels are a little jagged. I'm not going to feather it, I just did a little smoothing here, and I'm going to say okay. Now what's happened is you see these marching ants, that's designating what my active pixels are inside of this area. So I have the inside meat selected right now, and I'm going to hit my layer mask tool. Boom. You see how I cut out those edges and it kind of left a little bit of that shadowing around there. Now that looks like the real deal, right? All right, so let me go ahead and place that in one of my squares. So this would be like real deal me setting this up. I will be printing this outer box here, and then maybe later tonight, if I have time and I'm staying up doing this, then I may let y'all in on my little testing pressing session, because we will be offering these for sale on the website, and I think this will be a really good deal for Father's Day and just for the guys in general, because we focus a lot of our gifts on the ladies, and I think the fellas will really appreciate this. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and lock these two rectangles in place right now. So I'm going to hit the little lock button so they don't move. But what I want to make sure of is that my top rectangle and this image right here is centered. So I'm going to align them together. Or wait a minute. I'm going to have to manually do it because I don't think it's going to line things up with that layer locked. I just don't want them to move around. So here, now that I've got everything cut out, I'm going to apply this layer mask. Okay, and then that means that it makes it final though, so you know a layer mask is temporary, it doesn't delete any pixels. As soon as you right click on it and tell it to apply the layer mask, all of a sudden that is a permanent situation. You no longer have pixels there that you can save. So before you apply your layer mask, you're going to make sure that you absolutely have what you want. The other thing is, I will later go into all of my products and take out any color and change the levels and the intensities of the shadows so that it looks better as a mock-up. But as of right now, we're going to leave it how it is. Okay, and you see my terrible lighting has everything looking like it has a yellow tint. That's why lighting is really important for your photos and stuff, which I tell y'all that, but then I don't set up any kind of special lighting conditions, because when it comes down to it, it's just, I'm not gonna do it. I'm a little lazy in that department when it comes to photography. I will not lie. All right, so let's go ahead and figure out how this is going to be as a printable. So we have two different things that'll fit here. We may have a little bit of space here that maybe I can use towards the tail end of the tie, because the tail end of the tie is a lot more narrow than the front of the tie. So we're just going to leave this alone for right now, right? And then I'm going to create another artboard for the full tie. All right, so let's go to file. Nope, I'm lying. I'm just going to come here to my artboard tool, and if I select on the artboard, then I can create another little piece there. And this one I will make to be Let's check out first. Let's check out our tie, full length of our tie, so we can get that. I believe that's like somewhere around 60 inches. 59 inches, I think, is the actual measurement, and then we'll go from there. So I'm going to let it be 60 inches, and I believe it's 3¼ wide. So let's go ahead and make it high. Let's make it 60 inches, which is just going to be a huge file, but I'll scale it back when I get ready to make it a template for you all. And then the width, I said, was 3.25, I believe. Oh, I'm supposed to be changing it over here, but I guess that does the same thing. All right, so now you see we're kind of on to something. We got a couple of pocket squares here, which would be front and back. We have the full tie here, and you may want to do the front and back of the tie. In that case, I will create a second artboard. Or no, what I would suggest you do is just print it probably in reverse, just depending on what type of pattern print we use. So let's leave it alone for now. I'm not going to make it overcomplicated just to start out. So the artboard is the proper size. Now I'm going to go grab the image, just like we did before. I think that's the one we want right there. Drag and drop it onto that artboard. And because it's a smart object, I can rescale it, certainly the size. So first thing I'm doing is I'm rotating it. Then I'm going to scale it up. Make sure this tie pretty much fits completely on here, and we'll make sure the ruler fits. So we got a lot of dragging to do here. And I am making sure that I'm dragging this proportionately. So I'm not paying attention to how tall the tie is, I'm paying attention to the ruler at this very moment. Because I did, and I'm not going to say I did my best, because I really didn't try that hard, to take a photo of the image like from a very flat top view. So you'll see there's a little bit of bending and stuff in the ruler here, but it's probably more or less the angle that I took the photo. And let's see, if I hit enter here, I can see what my measurement is up here. And this is my 60-inch mark here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep pulling this up until my 60 inches reaches the outer edge. And it's really hard to see because it is pretty pixelated, but I believe that's about it. And we don't have to be perfect, but we do need to be aware that we're going to have a little bleed area. That's why you create a bleed area, because you're going to have inconsistencies. You're going to have one tie that might be just a little bit wider or a little bit longer. Of course, people are making these by hand, so human error is to be expected. So I told you here that I could see that the ruler is probably, and this isn't a ruler, this is a tape measure. So the tape measure may be a little skewed here, so I'm going to rotate just a little bit, and I want to see my tape measure lined up as even as possible to this edge with the same amount of brown space. And when I don't see that, then I can further manipulate the image. But like I said, this is more going to be a rectangle. We get so caught up sometimes on trying to get the exact silhouette and shape of something. Now that's important when you're doing maybe something like tumblers. And for a tumbler, what I would tell you to do is actually take a sheet of paper, wrap it around it, and cut it precisely how you want it. Make sure that you outline those edges in a Sharpie and scan that in, because you're talking about a curvature there. So you need that to be exact. You need those measurements to be exact. Here, we're talking about bleed area. And we could literally make this a rectangle and it would make no difference to the computer that's printing that out. Now, you can save. See how it's significantly skinnier here than it is down here? You could save quite a bit of ink if you didn't necessarily print so big up there. So that's the reason why. And even with the stole, I don't actually print the shape of the stole. I print the rectangle, so I print a 13 by 19, and then I just split it in half and go from there, because the last thing that you want to be doing is fooling around with something that is making it so exact that it's eating up your time. And I'm pulling that down just so that the end of that ruler is right there. All right, so now that I have this where I want it, I'm going to And this has to be a little bit off. I wonder when I was stretching this out, Control T. Oh shoot, y'all know what? I didn't have my aspect ratio locked. So I'm gonna have to bring this back in. I wonder why I was so skinny. I was like, it's not that skinny. It's a tie, but it's not that skinny. Let me bring it back in because I definitely needed to lock my aspect ratio before I started stretching stuff out. Okay, so let me lock it nil. You see that little chain right there? That locked it. That way when I turn it and I expand it, the height and the width should be expanding at the exact same rate and ratio. There we go. That makes more sense to me. So like I said, I'm paying attention to the ruler and not the tie right now. That makes a lot more sense to me now. And I'm going to completely drag this up until the ruler's touching the bottom, and then I get 60 inches on my ruler up here, which I think is a little bit like right about there. Let's go ahead and hit enter so we can lock in the transformation, see what we have going on. That's 59 inches. So I need to pull it down just a tad. So Control T. And I believe that's where we start to see 60 right there. Let's take a look. Okay, so that's 60. That makes me feel happy. And let's see. So yes, now the tie should be taking up this entire space. And see how my tie is not even straight? It's a little curved. That's how your stuff is going to be. So you have to give yourself enough bleed area and understand what you're working with to get the idea if you're going to be wasting or like wasting paper, wasting ink. I will tell you this, that sometimes I've tried to save ink and paper and it just made the process harder. So in this case, I may or may not optimize this to take up less paper towards the end of the tie. What I'm doing now is I'm just rotating this a little bit because I did see my ruler was pretty straight, but I want my actual tie itself to be a little bit straighter. All right. Just so that I have some understanding of what we're going to be printing out. This is not the mock-up, this is strictly the template, okay? So usually when I create a template, I'm going to tell you these areas to avoid, right? So let me go ahead and make me up a shape that's going to do that. So I feel comfortable if this is 60 inches long that I can pull my image up just a little bit. So I have a little bleed area at the tip here, which is not going to be as important as my bleed area at the bottom because I absolutely want to make sure that I have plenty of space down here. Now 3.25 is about the width of the tie. When I measured it, it was a little bit smaller than 3.25. And what I'm doing here is just checks and balances. I'm making sure that the tie is indeed 3.25 wide. So now I can make my artboard a little bit wider. So instead of 3.25, I'm going to give myself an inch bleed. So I'm going to make it 4.25. And I'm still going to let it be 60 inches long. All right, and here I'm just going to move my, oh, not my artboard, I want to move my image. And as a matter of fact, let's just make this artboard an even 4. Okay, so make it an even 4. That means when I bring a ruler here, boom, I can put a middle guideline right here in the center. So that's going to be my 2 mark. And then I'll move this one back out of the way. All right. Yeah, so pretty much I have what I need as far as the dimensions, but I might want to mess with this shape a little bit just to give me some understanding. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pretend like everything is symmetric. And I'm going to start down here. And I'm going to kind of trace out the tie, imagining that everything would pretty much be centered about my little guideline here. So let me inch that over just a little bit. So let's go ahead and trace this out with the pen tool. So there's our pen tool. I'm going to tap down here to the bottom, tap here, have my pen tool selected. What's going on? Well, I think the first one it didn't select because it was right there on that guide. Oh no, it did. It's just delayed. I don't know what's going on here. All right, so and instead of me trying to follow this exactly like a curve, which is normally what I do with the pen tool, I'm just pretty much going to give it a little good old understanding that this side should be pretty much on point. And then the end of the tie is almost straight. So let's just go ahead and just tap here at that corner. Let's give it a moment because this thing is lagging, but I think it's working. And then I'll make another point right here at the top. I don't think my pen tool is not doing anything right now. It's doing some crazy stuff. You see it's trying to stretch from there. So let me go back a few points. Because it did indeed make that point. Come on now. So I'm just doing a straight click. When you do a straight click, it makes a point that's going to be angled. And if you click and pull it, then it makes a curve. And there it goes. I'm wondering why this is taking so long to do this. All right, so let me make another point here and then a point here. This is taking forever. Okay, there we go. And then I'm just going to close this up by creating another point or combining these points basically. So I'm going to touch on the original point and it closes that shape up. And I'm actually going to make this into a shape. So when I hit shape, there it is. And let's see. I'm going to go to the properties of the shape right now. Just tell it that we want to make a shape. So the fill is gray. I'm going to make it like red or something we can see. There we go. That makes it easier. And then I'll put an outline on it of black, just so in case we make the fill invisible. So I'm going to edit those nodes right now. As a matter of fact, I can just use my direct selection tool to select a particular node. There's our node there. And I'm just pulling on it a little bit to see where it most closely follows. And then we'll duplicate it and create the other side. All right. And of course, we're going to create a bleed area off of this as well. So if I tap on an individual node, I'm able to edit just that node. There we go. All right, so I'm taking that shape. And it's not perfect, but like I said, we're going to create a bleed area, so it doesn't need to be. So let's take that shape. I'm going to right click on it. Oh, let's do Control T to transform. All right, and then we're going to right click. Let's duplicate it first. Duplicate it. Control T to transform. I'm going to flip it horizontal, and then I'm going to match it up with itself. And make sure we pretty much cover the whole tie. That makes sense. So zoom out just a little bit. If I do Control 0, it's going to zoom the entire artboard there. Alright, so without selecting anything, I should be able to see my shapes in one full view. And then we can actually combine these shapes now. So we can take the left and right and we can merge those shapes. So now it's just one shape. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is create a bleed area around it just to see if it's even going to be worth it to cut this down. And like I said, I think it would be best to just have a clear rectangular piece that if you had to piece these together on a 13 by 19, you absolutely could, but you may end up saving space by not making it so wide. So we're going to see in just a second. Let's see here. Let's go ahead, let's do a stroke around the shape. And we'll make the stroke black just to see how much bleed area we're going to have, and that I may very well, I think I can get away with this being 4 inches wide, especially being that we're going to leave it rectangular. We're not going to create the pendant style. So I think 4 inches will be enough for us to have enough bleed around the bottom down here and plenty to have a bleed around the middle and the back of the tie. And now that I'm looking at it, it's not going to be a big deal for me to have, like, basically to cut off this extra stuff back here. So I'm just going to leave it 4 inches wide all the way down. I think that's the best decision. Keep it simple. All right, so when I'm creating the mock-up, of course, I'm going to be creating the mock-up from the printable file so that I make sure that my mock-up is a secondary thought. I don't want to create this mock-up and then try to come back and make a template that works with it because I think it's going to look good or I think it's going to work. You want to make sure that it works first and then create the cute stuff. All right, and then I'm going to take the entire shape and the image itself and just pull it down a little bit to make sure that we're going to make enough bleed area from one tip to the next. That looks good. Okay, so really and truly we did all of that just to test test our printable space. So more or less that's going to be our printable space. Now I will, just for the sake of showing you how to do a mock-up, I'm not going to mock up this long little tie because nobody really wants to see what's happening on the back of the tie anyways, but I will do it for the sake of showing you all how we would do that. So on this image, like I did before, I don't want this entire image. I just want the part of it that I'm going to be cleaning up. So I'm going to take that image, I'm going to copy the smart object image, and then when I edit, I'm going to do paste special because I want to paste it exactly in the place that it was before. Otherwise it kind of shifts your pixels a little bit. All right, and I just deleted the original image because it was just way too much data on the outside that we did not need. So now I can take this and we can do select and mask. I'm sorry, before we do select and mask, we need to try to select the subject. So let's make sure we're on a selection tool, select subject. And it's probably going to be a little confused because it's got some paper in there too. Okay, wasn't confused. Look at that. I'm going to go to select and mask just to make sure the mask is clean. It looks good. I might do a little smoothing here. Say OK and just go ahead and mask that off. So I'm selecting my layer mask. All of that's cleaned up. And even though my tie is a little crooked or whatnot, like it's a little leaning over here on this side, we understand that it is a tie. All right, so I'm going to right click now on the layer mask and apply that layer mask. So now all those extra pixels that were there are long gone. So at this point, if I do Control T, I should only be selecting the direct pixels here in my tie. There we go. So yep, so now I only have the pixels in the tie. I don't have all that extra data hanging off my artboard. I'm good. All right, not bad, not bad. So finally, let's do an artboard for the cufflinks. Even though the cufflinks are going to be tiny, so I'm thinking we could probably even fit it here, because I'm thinking by the time we print, we'll print the back piece of the tie here, and most of you are going to be tiling this. So I'll keep this complete artboard, because if you're not tiling and you are able to get like maybe 3, you should be able to get 3 ties. Well, that'll be pushed. No, you should be able to get 3 ties. If you're doing the roll media, 13-inch roll media, you can get 3 ties without having to piece them together. And you would just be cutting each tie apart, or you could do the front and the back, and then you have an extra side. So that's what I'm considering right now. So we'll leave just that one side, and then we'll do the cufflinks later. I want to make sure this works first, because the cufflinks is just going to be a straight up monogram. That's it. We're going to keep the cufflinks simple. We'll do a print for the pocket square and the print for the tie. All right. So y'all get to see how I do it all, from making mock-ups to making templates. All right, so let's see, what do I want to attack next? Let's start on our mockup file. So the mockup file, let me go ahead and, I have not saved yet. All right, so let's do, this is going to be the, it's going to be a necktie. Necktie, one word or two? Let me double check. Yep, necktie is one word. Necktie. Then there is pocket square. And I'll go ahead and make this a printable for the socks too. So I'll do socks. We'll do, what else? The cufflinks. And I'm getting some belts in too. So I'll go ahead and put belt. Pocket squares, neckties, make everything plural. And then this will be the printable template. Then the other one will be the mock-up. So I'll take that file name. I'll save it as a, I'll do it as a PSB, because a PSB is also a smart object, if y'all didn't know it. When you save things as a smart object and you export it, it'll export it as a PSB. But as long as you have Photoshop, if your computer doesn't know, a PSB file is a Photoshop file. You just have to tell it to open it with Photoshop. All right, so let's save that. Boom. All right, next step is let's start on the mockups file. So let's do file new. Now my mockup file is usually something that's just intended for you to show your customer what's up. It's not like to scale, okay? And you don't want it to be to scale because it ends up being huge. So at the most, let's do some pixels here. And I'm going to do, this is still pretty decent. Let's do 2000 by 2000. But then we'll do 72 as the resolution. And this is good for your store. So if you have an Etsy store, if you have a Shopify store, these dimensions are good. 2000 by 2000 by 72. Now this is not how you design something that you want to print. This is how you design something for web, or basically for online viewing purposes, okay? So that's why we're only using 72 resolution. Don't get it twisted. The 150 to 300 is the resolution you want to use for your printables, okay? 72 is for screen resolution. All right, so let's create that. We have a nice little square here. And I noticed that a lot of the platforms are doing squares now, but depending on what your mockup is going on and how much of the image it displays, you may want it to be rectangular versus square. All right, now y'all already know that, you know what? Let me bring up my other mockup file. I have, hold on a second, I'm viewing this all weird. Navigation, pane, there we go. So let's go to the last class we did, Innate Academy 131. And I usually use the same little mock-up for you all and just update it for each class. But I let you all have my mock-ups for free. So let's do 131. Where is my mock-up? There it is. See how Photoshop doesn't this new computer doesn't recognize that's a Photoshop file. So I'll go to right click, open with, and I'm going to train it. See how it says always use this app to open PSD files? It doesn't know. So once I choose Photoshop, it trains my computer to always use Photoshop to open those files. And now you saw a Photoshop logo pop up. It knows that Photoshop is responsible for opening those types of files. All right, so we're going to open this one, and before I do anything, I'm going to go ahead and save as. So this was 131, so we're going to do File, Save As. I'm going to save it in my 132 folder. That way when I mess with it, I still preserve my 131. So now it's going to be 132 mockup. Boom. All right, and I believe this one, let me see what my dimensions are for this. Let's go to Image, Image Size. Now it says, if I go to pixels, this is 1300 by 1300 by 72 pixels. So this is good. We're going to go with this rather than start from scratch. Because it's already got everything I need here on it. I'm just going to pull brand new types of images on here. So I'm going to leave the shirts just in case we end up doing a shirt for Father's Day too to go with it. Not sure yet, but the shirts are on there. My bullet points and everything, I leave that because that's how I explain to you all what we're doing for the class. But let's see, as far as the mock-up goes, let me see what images I'm going to prefer to use for the mock-up. Let's go back for a second. Well, trying to figure out where that folder is that I just had open. It was my iCloud folder. And this is why I tell y'all for class too to go ahead and have all of your files that you're going to use for class. Go ahead and save it in your Innate Academy whatever course. So we're going to be doing 132. So it'll be in your 132 course, the photos and all. So you won't be searching through mountains of files, because I know we all have a whole bunch of images on our systems. So we could take forever sometimes to find what we're looking for. All right, so I'm going to just show you what photos I have to choose from and why I may or may not choose a certain photo. Let's see, that one looks good. And I can't tell which one might be better. I'm thinking I'm going to go with this one for the tie. So I'm just going to drag and drop it on in there. And at this point, the size is not important to me. This is a mock-up, not a 2-scale template. That's the difference between a printable template and a mock-up. And yes, I try to design them simultaneously so they work hand in hand. All right, let's see what else. We need the pocket square. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to go with maybe this one for the pocket square. But just in case, if somebody wants to see what the whole pocket square looks like folded out, I am also going to include the full pocket square, which we already cut out here. So I'll go ahead and call that pocket square, and I'm going to call this the full tie, or I'll just call it the tie. Full length. And I'm going to take just the pocket square because we're not going to see that tie full length on there. But the pocket square, I could see a reason to do that. And see how much larger it is? That's because this is a mock-up file. The mock-up file is pretty small. We don't want it to be to scale. We just want to kind of show some things off. That's it. Okay. So just in case for the mock-up you'd rather have the folded up version, it is there. Let's see what else. Oh, the cufflinks. Of course, the cufflinks. So, like I said, it's not the best picture, but we're gonna make it work. Take our little cufflinks and throw them on there. Now, the easy thing about the cufflinks, we don't even have to make a any type of real template here. We just know the size. Uh-oh, did I not put them in there because I was talking? Let me drag and drop them again. So as long as we know the size of the circle, we can get away with just drawing a circle and creating a little bit of a bleed area for that disc. All right, so let's make that smaller. And we should be good with that. There we go. Now, because this is a mock-up, I don't want this to be huge, so I'm not dragging and keeping these huge photo files in here. These photo files are huge. So what I am going to do, though, is go ahead and, like we did before, cut out the part of the image that makes sense that we want to keep. So for this tie, it'll be this part. Control C is the copy, Control V is the paste. I'm getting rid of the original image. Same thing with the folded pocket square. I'm going to select the part of the image that I want. Control C to copy, Control V to paste, and then get rid of the original image. And then the other pocket square we already have to size. And we're going to do the same thing we did before, which is to cut out the background. So let's go, and you can use Remove BG to cut out the background of these images too. I'm just kind of playing with how well Photoshop does the select subject feature. So sometimes if it does something crazy, I'll still use Remove BG for the people. A lot of times it's quicker. So let's go to selected mask. Let's see if this thing cleans up well. And it does clean up well. I even see that little bitty thread that's hanging out right there, which makes it look authentic. So I'm gonna leave that little thread there. Let's say okay. And let's go ahead and add that layer mask. Cuts it out nice and clean. I see a little bit of brown from the wood around there, but when I take all of the color out of this and make it completely black and white, that's not gonna matter. All right, so now that I have it cut out how I want, I'm gonna apply the layer mask. Boom, all that extra data is gone now. Same thing with the tie here. Let's go ahead and select the subject. Now for my tie, I do wanna make sure I keep my little roll up here because it makes it look kind of cool, right? Let's keep all of that, and let's see how it looks when we select a mask. And it's eating into the shadow a little more than I wanted to, but I think that's fine for the fact that I don't want to keep playing with the selection. I think it's pretty good there. So let's go ahead and do the layer mask here. See what I was talking about, the shadow? It got some of the shadow a little bit more than others, but I think that's going to be fine because when we do our mock-up, we're going to add our own drop shadow to everything. All right, so now we're looking like we're working with a set of something. Where are our cufflinks? Same thing with the cufflinks. Let's cut out the part that we want. And I'm gonna do my best not to keep that shadow down there because then I have to make sure that the shadows are all the same directions, and that's not fun. So we're just gonna create our own shadows when it's all said and done. And it'll look a little awkward because these look like they're taken from top view, and the cufflinks are taken pretty much from a profile view, and that's a little bit different, but you know, I dare somebody to judge you because the mock-ups that you have are at different angles. All right, so let's go ahead, let's try the select subject again, and we need to be on the either the magic wand, quick selection, or the object selection tool in order to select the subject. Yeah, not entirely impressed here, but we can clean it up. So let's go on in here to, and I think this has a lot to do with my lighting. Let's go to select and mask, and let's see if we can clean this up just a bit. I think I'm missing this part right here. So I'm just gonna highlight it and see if it guesses correctly. I think it took a little bit of my end right there off. There we go. See, it couldn't distinguish between the floor and the end of this. So that's a little nasty there. So let me go back to my minus there and take that off. This is gonna be fun. Yeah, and then now I have to add back, and I can change. For instance, if I want to bring the pixel size down now to 9 instead of 13, it's doing a little bit more of a precise selection. And see how it's confused and conflicted with whether this, and I'm confused and conflicted with whether that is a part of the floor or a part of the silver from the cufflinks. All right, now I do see it's looking a little weird here. And this is where I'm just gonna cancel. Now what's odd is that, you know, this one almost comes out perfect. So let's at least give it a chance with this one here. Because I think I'm gonna end up using the pen tool to trace that out. As a matter of fact, let's just do that. I know we dread the pen tool, but it's good for what it's good for. So I'm gonna do Control D to deselect, and it doesn't seem like my shortcuts are working, so I can go to select, deselect. All right, let's use the pen tool, and let's do our best to identify what we're selecting here. It is a little blurry too. All right, so I am going to kind of go in here to here and imagine that that's my little floor, and then I'm going to click and drag to create this curve here. Then I'm going to click to create a click and drag a curve there, then click straight to make this straight edge. I'm assuming that this goes from here to here, but it is very difficult to see. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, and then I'm gonna come out here for another straight edge, and then I'm gonna start curving it as I build out this part of the pen here. And I probably need to bring my transparency down on this shape a little bit. So I'm going to go straight there, curve here. So when I do a curve, I'm clicking and dragging. And when I do a click, that, or just a tap, that is a straight line. And I am very confused as to where the floors start in the cufflink, and maybe I should have done my like a white sheet of paper or something. I don't know if that would have helped out, but we're here now. And that was a little off. So I want to curve here, so I'm going to do click and drag, click and drag. Here I click and drag just a little bit, and then I'm going to straight click there to kind of let me know that's the end of that cylinder. And I'm being a little bold with my click and drag now because I'm going a further distance or farther distance. Now I'm back. Okay, so that is officially a shape. Let me see. I really should have done a selection, but now with the shape, I'm going to subtract the front shape now. So I have my base shape. Now I'm going to create another shape inside of this. Uh-oh, I wasn't intending to do that just yet. So I'm going to start making a new shape right inside of here. All right, and see how this shape subtracted from the previous shape? So that seems pretty decent. I can control select the shape now. Oh, I had it on subtract mode before I intended to subtract. Hold on, let me go back a moment. Before I changed the mode. Let's do exclude overlapping. That's what I want to do. I did close that off. I have to finish closing that off. I guess I went back in history and did not close this shape off. There it goes. All right, so now I'm excluding the overlapping shape, and just real quick, I'm gonna tap this in and see if it's working. All right, there we go. Okie dokes. So let's control click this thumbnail. What is this thing doing? There we go. So at least I have a certain color. Let's deselect here. So I'm control click and selecting this shape here, which is what I just created. I had to color it so I could see what was going on. And then I'm going to turn this off, and I'm simply going to go to my original cufflink image, and I will do the selected mask just to see what's going on, but I'm just going to copy and paste. So I am going to smooth this out because I hand created this, there are probably some not so smooth parts. I'm going to smooth it just a little bit so it will kind of correct my human error, and then I'm going to copy and paste. All right, so here, if I turn that off now, that's my little cuff link. All right, and then same thing we're going to do for the bottom one, except the bottom one should be a lot easier. Instead of trying to trace it out, I'm going to see if we can just create a shape, which is with the ellipse tool. Now this may not be exactly circular, but in order to find out, I'm going to hold down shift and make a circle. Calm down, buddy. Let's make this circle here. And of course we can make it transparent like we did before, just bring down the opacity. And let's see what we're working with. And I'm actually stretching this disproportionately because it is likely that this is not a perfect circle. So I don't want to try to force it to be and then miss out on some of my shadows. Alright, and I think that's pretty much good enough right there. I can control select my shape now, and it's going to select this ellipse here that we created. And it does cut off a little bit here more than I want, so I'm going to see if I can shift. I'll tell you what, let's cut it out and see, because I might be doing way too much and you won't be able to tell. I think I am. So I'm going to copy and paste. Yep, that looks good. Looks perfect. Alright, so we can get rid of our ellipse now. We have cufflink number 1, cufflink number 2. We can get rid of the original cufflink's image. I can apply my layer mask for my tie. And I think everything is probably clean and ready to go. Let's delete that shape there. Alright, looks like we're in business. Now as far as the socks go, let me see, I already have the socks. I'm going to go ahead and grab them from 105, class number 105, where I showed you all how to make your own photo patterns. So let's see, if I turn off everything, including the background, and I just want the socks. Let's grab everything. Oh, I think those are socks right there. Yep, let's just go ahead and grab those and drag them on over to our mock-up. Of course, they're huge because that was for our printable file. We're going to make it smaller since this is just a mock-up. And with something else, I mentioned a belt, but I don't have the belt yet, so I'll wait till I get the belt so I can make sure I have the proper dimensions for designing for the belt. So for right now, we'll do this, and then once I introduce the belt, we'll do a class on just doing the belt and adding it to our mock-up. All right, so the sock file here, I'm going to go ahead and do the turn off the print. All we need at this point is the part where we just print with the mask on. So let's turn that on. Disable layer mask there. I just need this with the registration points because this is going to help us actually print. So I'm going to drag all this over just because it should be to scale. Let's see, so the sock file is 8.5 inches wide by 18.5 inches tall. Let's see, can I get that? I'm not going to get two to a page, but I can create another 13 by 19 here. Let's go to our artboard tool. And I'll go to artboard 1. So let's create another 13 by 19 here, right? And this is the one we'll put the socks on, and we'll have a little bit of space. So basically we should be able to get this part of the tie on this one, this part of the tie on this one, and then a third 13 by 19. We'll get the first part of the tie, or I can break it up to where the entire tie will print. I think I'll do that. I'll do it where the entire tie prints on one 13 by 19, or you can, you know, let it print the roll wise and not have to paste it together, because you will have to do, it would be even more than 3 because the tie is almost 60, so 19 times 3 is not going to give us quite 60. So we're going to end up with a little bit of a fourth page in order to tile this for the 13 by 19s. Plus we have to account for the overlap, so y'all might want to do this roll media, because the more pieces you have, the more chances you have to mess up, or you have press lines and all of that bad stuff. So we'll see. I will help you all put it together. All right, so to do the socks, we said that one's going to be on here, and that one is going to be a, just take that whole piece here and drag it, drop it over here to our printable, and put it on that artboard. All right. And then, like I said, the cufflinks are simply going to be just a literal circle on this. So socks, and then when we do the belt, I think the belt is going to be depending on the width of the person. So I'm going to have, I believe, 48-inch belts pre-cut, and then if you need bigger than that, then you can order a custom size or an oversized belt, because some people like the belts that I'm getting are the webbing belts, and you probably have seen like Off-White and some of the really high-end brands like Prada have those military style belts. That's what we're doing, and they will be able to be sublimated because we'll have the polyester versions of them, and then you install the belt buckle after you've sublimated it, and you cut it to whatever length. So that's what I'm working on right now, is getting some of those in. So that should be, I'm hoping it'll be in by Father's Day, but if not, we know what to look forward to. Okie dokes, let me check on y'all, see if y'all have any questions right now, because I just been talking through my personal work. The watch me work times, I have to admit, I'm not checking on the comments as much because I'm literally talking through what I'm having to work through for the day. Yes, Kim, I'm glad you caught a live too. Now, this is one of those lives where it's not the fun, you know, exciting graphics quite yet. This is the nitty gritty background. Y'all always ask me how to make mock-up files. And this is me showing you from the beginning. So you'll be able to tell by the length of the video that it's not just a, you know, a little quick flip of a mouse. It's a little bit of work that goes into it, okay? But I like to show you all because some of you all want to work through this for yourselves and you want to learn how to do this stuff yourself. And eventually we will teach stuff like this in the academy, but for now the academy is intended for me to give you all tools and resources that I kind of do the 4 to 6 hours background work, and then you can be able to change the templates out in 10 minutes once you learn how they work. So that's where we are with that. All right, change done before closing. I don't want to change that, but I do want to make sure that we save our mockup and change this number. So this is going to be 132. And of course, we'll change all the details with this after we fix this up. So let me save. Let me do the save dance. And that's going to be Control S on the PC, Command S on the Mac, and File Save on the menu options up here. File Save. Alright, so now I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that I can get an understanding of what's going to print. And of course, we're not printing this. This is what we learned to do in 105. So I'm going to delete that pattern. I'm going to keep my registration marks because that's what helps me to understand how I fold this up. And this actually, I forget to use this sometimes, and then I'm just like willy-nilly folding up my socks to do the taco method, but these registration points do help you with your taco method. Alright, so let's see now how this is going to work. And I think I'll bring my socks over only because, and I should have done this before, but I'm gonna just bring them back over. No, I'm not. I get carried away because sometimes I want you all to see what it looks like before you apply it to the mock-up, but that makes the file so much larger. So I'm doing my best not to do that. But what I do want to do is make sure that you don't design outside of this area. So I am going to leave this on, and I am going to create in what we call a text and photo save area for this. So I'm going to do another stroke. So my stroke for this one is going to be on, instead of the outside, it's going to be on the inside. And this one, oh, what am I doing? I want to keep that one, and I want a new stroke. This is what I like about Photoshop over Affinity, is I can do multiple strokes and multiple types of the same effect in this single effect layer style. So let's do inside stroke for this one, and let's change the color to like a blue or something. All right, so what I'm encouraging is to give yourself some space. And let's go ahead and let's make this entirely transparent so we can see that tie underneath. Because what I want you to understand is that yes, you may be able to put something in this area, but the likelihood of that getting cut off is greater the closer you get. So let's say you were doing a face. You're putting a face on your tie. You don't want the face to be so close to that edge that you may potentially cut it off. If you're doing a specific text, let's say you're going to do a big monogram or someone's name across the tie, you don't want it to get cut off in this area. So one of the things that we'll be doing is a remix version of this template. We're going to do a graduation version of it, so that maybe dad doesn't want to do a t-shirt, maybe dad wants to do a tie instead. You'll be able to take that that template from the stole and apply it here and make sure that nothing's hanging off all crazy and make a tie for dad. And I think that'll be really cool, even if it's just a keepsake. All right, so I added a bleed there. I think that's good enough. I might even come in a little bit more. So let me increase that stroke just by a little bit, because I like to push it to the limits. And if I don't see my limit, I will definitely print something out as big as I can and then figure out it doesn't fit and then have to cut it down. So I want to avoid that step for you all. So just make sure that anything that you put of importance, and this is pretty skinny now, right? So if you were wanting to really put a full name, maybe the shadow could go out into that area, but the actual text would not. And this is where you get to see that it's not really smart to try to put horizontal text on a tie. It's going to end up tiny anyway, and you won't really see it. All right, all right, all right. So I'm good with that. Then we're going to go ahead and create our little pattern. Okay, and that's what we're going to be working. Well, I will go ahead and update it, and then I will do a demonstration of how class will work once we get that done. So tie the cufflinks. Where do I want to put my cufflinks? It's only 1 inch, should be more than enough space to do the cufflinks. So I could even place them on the ends of the tie here, because cufflinks is something you may or may not plan on printing. Let me see how much space I have down here at the bottom. Because I know the cufflinks are definitely something that goes with the tie. You may want to do socks without the cufflink, so I don't want to assume that every time you print socks you're going to need a cufflink. Pocket square, you may not do a pocket square but might do a cufflink. So I'm thinking the cufflinks will go specifically with the tie. So let me see if I can fit it on here so that you'll remember to do it at the same time. All right, let's do, click here, let's just make a circle, and then I'm going to tell it 1 inch because our measurement was 11/16. So 1 inch by 1 inch should be good. It's going to be a little bit of bleed, but not much at all. So we have to put an inch there or else it'll think we're talking pixels. And that's my circle. Let's see if it fits. Let's use our arrow or our move tool. See if it fits on there. Ooh, barely, but it fits. Barely, but it fits. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this into a smart object. Okay, and I'm going to call this cufflink. And I'm thinking that we need just a tiny bleed out and a tiny bleed inside. And I'm not wanting to put it so close to the edge of the paper because you know your printer needs a margin too. So your printer is going to take up a little bit of the space as well. And like I said, I'll be the test dummy tonight, and I'll make sure that this works. As far as the printable, make sure that the cufflink fits on there well, and if I need to change measurements, I will do that before I issue the template to you all. So so more than likely, even when I do my demo class, I still need to do a physical demo to make sure that it works, and then the class will be ready for tomorrow. Class will be tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but like I said, it's my fault. I've been a little behind on getting the content out, even though I don't allow us to register for the class more than 20 or less than more than 24 hours outside of time anyway. All right, so that'll be our cuff link. I'm going to make sure that works, and socks are on there. And of course, y'all know when I do this class, and this demo is probably going to be a little more complicated than what I'm showing you, but at least you get to see the process. So artboard 2 is the tie, and it is 4 by 60, and I'll put the size first and then the name, because what you're worried about is what sizes this need to print. Oh, that wasn't a tie. Oh, it is a towel. It was just taking forever to update. All right, so this one, artboard 3, that's going to be the socks. And then artboard 1 would be the pocket square. And the pocket square is, we gave it what, 9 by 9? But this is technically a 13 by 19 sheet. And then the socks are 13 by 19 sheet. The only reason why I'm giving you this dimension is it is possible that you may want to print it out as a sheet, and it depends on what printer you have. If it's going to allow you, I think, they won't even allow 60 inches of media on a lot of these roll media solutions. I think the most it allows you to do is 47 inches. So I'm going to cut this down anyway, because unless you have like a large format printer, you're probably not going to be able to do 60 inches, because eventually that paper skews and it goes to your printer and it doesn't go through straight. It'll start, bunching up, and you're not going to be able to do that anyway. So I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do that to be a printable for you all, because I'm going to make it to where it prints out on a 13 by 19 but in sections. So I'll do that when I have a little quiet time to think after this, but we can at least go ahead and get it laid out and mocked up. Let's go ahead and do our sections. So for this rectangle, we're going to go ahead and do a little pattern overlay. So I need to bring my pattern up. All right, and this is what we're going to be working on in class today. So no, I do not want y'all out here bootlegging no kind of designer stuff. But what we're doing is we're recognizing that, hey, we like designer stuff. We like that that it has a clean look to it. It has patterns, prints, that sort of thing. So what we're doing is we're doing those inspired looks, but we're either going to use our monograms or our business logo or something to that degree to to create a design here. So in this case, and that's why I chose monograms for this project, because if we're doing this as a Father's Day project, then monograms are simple, they're sleek, and it's just not too much you can do to do anything wrong there. But I'm going to double click here on this monogram, and of course I'm going to demo this later. I just want you all to see that I have a couple of different styles of monograms here. So I'll go with the Gucci style just to show you how it looks when it updates. And then we're going to save this. This is what we're going to do in class. We're going to define that as a pattern, and I'm just naming it here. And then once we design it as a pattern, we'll come to the fill that I'll have created already. So let's go ahead and do a pattern fill. And I'm going to choose the one we just made, right? And what you all will be able to do in class is to make up your own pattern, scale it, color it, all that good stuff. So that's all I'm doing right here, just making sure that's going to work for class. And it looks like it works. So the pattern fill there. I'm going to go ahead and clip it here. Create a clipping mask so that it clips down to just that pocket square. And if I want to see what it looks like on that pocket square, which this is not the important part right now, but I'm going to show you. Oh, no wonder I have it in the wrong place. That's the bottom one. So let me bring this on down here. All right, like I said, we don't need those. So what we're going to do, we'll create a pattern. That pattern will automatically propagate. So I'm going to go ahead and create a pattern for this one too. Create a clipping mask. Like I said, we have a little bit of space right there. And same thing with the socks. I'm going to take the pattern fill that we just created, alt click and drag it to the sock area. There we go. I'm going to get rid of that color fill right there. And then I'm also going to, for my rectangles, oh, I have them locked. Let me unlock them. And now I'm going to make sure that my rectangles have no fill, but just a slight outline. So no fill, and then the outline. Let me choose like a light green for right now. Oh, you know what? They have to have a fill in order, if I'm going to clip stuff to it. So let me just choose a white fill. And choose a pure white there, so I won't have any tint of anything there. And then I'll let the stroke be black for right now. Alright, so I can see here, these are the two for the pocket square. There's my sock pattern there, and then we'll also go ahead and take that same pattern, fill, and do the tie. Now I'm keeping these separate. Normally what I do is a smart object for these, but eventually what we're going to do is change up the pattern. So we might do one pattern for the sock, a different pattern for the tie, and a different pattern for the pocket square, but then just do them coordinating designs, but not necessarily the same matchy design. But for now, we're going to keep it simple because this is the 100 level course. I do believe we're going to do a more advanced version of this one in the near future, especially when I get the belts in. So let's do the pattern fill. For this one, I'm going to drag and drop one onto the tie. Alright, so just keeping it real simple without recoloring anything. Now I'm going to turn off everything we don't need and see how this is going to work for our mock-up. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to put no Gucci nothing on my mock-up, so we're going to go ahead and make this something else, okay? Let's go ahead and go to the monogram here, and let's say that I want to do, I'm going to do maybe my dad's initials, since we're thinking about Mother's Day and Father's Day. Let me do a capital M. Oh, y'all know I don't like to save over my stuff, so let me create a duplicate. Duplicate the group. I'll turn that one off, and then that way I can edit this one and I won't feel bad. So right, and this is all the space that I have to work with. So if I have to shrink something in or anything to that effect, then I just have to do what I have to do. Control T, transform, shrink that in a little bit, and place it middle to middle. That's where those little magenta lines popped up. So I'm good on that. I'm going to close out, say yes, I want to save. Alright, so now I have my own version, and see, it's the idea of it without just literally taking you know, taking something and trying to replicate it and make it something that is not. So I'm not trying to tell you how to go out there and make your Gucci. I'm just saying make your own brand, make your own, make you the brand, basically. So somebody will take a second look at it and be like, what is that? And then, oh, that's my brand, you know. So I think it definitely makes a good conversation piece and a good starter conversation for your business. All right, so just the monogram itself is probably what we're going to put on the cuff links. So I'm actually going to drag that to this artboard, and we'll make it small enough to, because you can't put a whole bunch on a cuff link. So please don't try to put, you know, photos and all that stuff. Let's keep it simple. Like my daddy would say, keep it simple, Shannon. All right, let's go ahead and make that size here. And of course, like I said, I am going to meet, because I know somebody will push it to the limits and try to make this the whole size of the circle. It's not going to work. So let me take that little cuff link circle there, I'm going to go ahead and add a stroke to the inside so that you know you have to be careful not to go further than that. Then y'all will be okay, because I know me, I will try to print all the way to the edge of something and end up cutting off my stuff. Okay, so, and everything else is just straight print. Okay, so now let me go ahead and save my M&M. It's actually M and a W. I just thought it looked cool like that. And then we're going to play with, you know, which way your monogram, different initials are going to look different. So that's why I put the couple of different versions in there if you want it to be like the Gucci style. The Chanel is basically the initials back to back. So let's say if you have a B and a B, maybe you want one B to be backwards and the other B to be forwards, and then you can kind of put them back to back, and it'll make it look like a Chanel style logo where it's back to back. You got the LV, and this one I actually had to skew this L. So if you go, that's the regular L, and then I skewed it so that it, you know, kind of looks like it's not. And these aren't the exact fonts. I tell you exactly what fonts to download in the homework file, so you will have to have those fonts. I give you the links and all, so you can download them, have them already installed before we start class. And then you'll figure out what style you want to do. And you may even come up with your own style of doing your monogram. That's completely up to you. Let's see here. So I'm going to bring back my MM, and I'm just going to put dash MM there so I'll know what that is. Yes to save the changes. Now in order to make this a pattern, I'm going to go to File, nope, Edit, Define a Pattern, and I'm just going to put a dash MM there. Alright, so yes, I'm going to save that. That's going to be a part of the first thing that we do in classes. We're actually going to create our pattern before we even do all of this stuff. So now that the pattern is established, I can go to my pattern fill, and I'm going to choose my MM. And imagine this is going to be a necktie, so you may or may not want to scale this. So maybe I'll scale the tie 25 because it gets a little skinny. And the point of a tie is that it doesn't always have to be so conspicuous. It doesn't have to be a big old image or words plastered on there. You can kind of be making it look like more of an embossed look, where it's just a tone on tone or something. That's what a lot of the designer looks are about anyway. So the socks, maybe I will make it that scale, but I definitely need to change my pattern out. So let's choose my new pattern. Okay. And maybe I'll make the sock patterns be 40. I'm just trying to show you how you can use the same pattern and scale it. Now it definitely looks different because it is a more square text. You don't have that roundness there. So you'll come to find that maybe different patterns work with different initials or different fonts. So we'll play with that. All right, so this one is going to be the pocket square. So maybe I want the pocket square to have the, I don't know if I want it to have the same or maybe a little more size than the tie. We'll see. Let's go ahead and change that pattern fill out. Okay, and you notice it only changed one. So remember what I was telling you, you may want to have different patterns for the front and the back of the pocket square, because when you fold it, depending on how you fold it, you might want that contrast. And that contrast sometimes can give you some pretty cool details when it comes to folding the pocket square and how it sits in the pocket. So I think what I'll do, I'll let it be little on one side, and then we'll change it out, make it a little bigger on the other side, and see how that looks. We'll just type in maybe 45 there. Do 40 here and 25 here. That way we kind of have a little bit of difference, and maybe we'll see if we like that. All right, so that seems pretty easy, and I think it's transparent. So with it being transparent, that means we can make any color that we want behind it, including gradients. So y'all know how I feel about my gradients. But because this is our, designer kind of sleek look, I'm gonna let it be standard, and then some of the future more advanced projects will get real, we'll get real fancy with the design styles. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and let's go ahead and see what this looks like mocked up. I think I need some color though. I think I need some color. So if we want to do, let's say we wanted it to look like the Gucci print. Let's go back for a second. Let's find us some inspiration for the colors. Why not? Gucci pattern. Let's say we're going to go with our designer inspiration. I'm actually looking at products more than the actual fabric itself, because I want to see, if we had a Gucci tie or socks or something, what are the colors? What are the patterns? Would it look like tone on tone? I see a lot of tone on tone, and I like that because it's there, but it's kind of indistinguishable. It's not really in your face, and some things are in your face, but I think that we can, we can kind of pick and choose when we want to make it stand out and when we want it just to look like a nice design flare. I'm thinking we'll probably do the tone on tone, like the tan and brown combination. I like that. And as a matter of fact, let me go to shopping, because like I said, I'm looking for inspiration. I'm not trying to make something exact. All right, and let me see something that I think would have the colors and everything. I want to be able to pick the colors though. It's so cool that I didn't even think about it, but they have the socks with the same feature. So let's go with the tan and brown. So now that I know I'm doing tan and brown, I'm gonna go to the images and find me a good old wallpaper or something. So in order to find a good size image, I'm gonna go to tools, size large. I'll go with this one, because then maybe we also want to do the twill looking stripe pattern too, and then we can make it whatever color we want. It doesn't have to be red and green. You can make it whatever you want if we wanted to add that. So all I'm looking for right now is something that has good enough resolution where I can grab the colors, because some of these are saying they're high resolution and then they look like garbage when you open them. So let's see. Yep, that has a privacy error. I don't want that one. This one, let's open the image in a new tab. So that's saying it's a large resolution, but they really want you to pretty much download theirs. There we go. Now I'm dragging this in. I'm not printing this, but I am going to use it for design inspiration. So I think I will use some smart colors here. So those of you who know me and my smart colors, let's go ahead and get those started. So to do a smart color, I'm probably going to go off of the 13 by 19 page, so I'm not making the color too large unless I have to. And let's go ahead and make a new color swatch. So we're going to do a solid color. And I can pick the color. I'm going to try to pick this brown color. This is a worse image than I thought it was. So I'm going to make that a little bit darker. So that'll be our dark brown. And then we'll go ahead and duplicate that, make another one. I'm going to make the light brown, the tan. So I'm just going to select one of these pixels in here which got the lighter tan. Trying to get the lightest color. That'll do. Okay, so I have color 1, color 2. And right now, you won't see them because it's on a whole nother layer. It's over here. So we'll design from the socks first and then go from there. So color 1 is going to apply to the pattern. So I'm going to right click, create a clipping mask. So that color 1 applies to the pattern, and color 2 is going to fill the background. All right, so does that already look like we have our own kind of Gucci inspired look? I'm liking that a lot. And yep, looks good. So we're going to call this a smart color now. It's not really a smart color, but we're going to call it that. I think that once other people start calling things smart color, I will feel established in life because that's a term that I believe I made up. Let's see, delete layer mask there. And we're going to call this color 1. Oh, color 1. And then the next one will be color 2. So this is going to be a simple thing for us to learn. We'll learn how to make a pattern, our own little monogram pattern, which is kind of learning logo design too, because if you ever wanted to make your own little monogram logo for your business or just for yourself, we're going to do that as the first part of the class. All right, so color 1, color 2, I'm going to go ahead and make this a smart object and make color 2 a smart object. Boom. So now anywhere that I want color 1 to occur, which is going to be everywhere that I have the pattern, I'm going to put color 1 above it. So let's put color 1 above. Uh-oh, I'm dragging something here. I drag some effects. I'm going to drag color 1, alt click and drag it above pattern, or pattern fill 1, and then I'm going to create a clipping mask. And then I think we're done with the Gucci print. Definitely don't want to leave that in there, so they be thinking I'm trying to allow y'all to print up their stuff. All right, so pattern fill 1, color 2. So let's bring color 2 to the back end. And color 1 should just be applying to the pattern fill. Oh, I have another color 1 up here. That's what happened. Okay, now that's making sense. Let's go ahead and take color 1 and color 2. And I'm going to drag that for the pocket square now. All right, so now we're in a dilemma where the rectangle that we have needs to be clipped and the color needs to be clipped to the pattern. So let's release the color, the clipping mask here, so we can figure out how we're going to do this. Create a clipping mask for the pattern here, and then I will create a group for, we'll call this the front of the pocket square, and then I'm just going to delete that and duplicate this to create the back. So this color should be clipped there, and this, if I clip all of these, the color doesn't clip. So let's group those. Delete the group there, group only. So I'm working out how I'm going to get it to do the smart color for the pattern fill. but then also allow you to, so let me release that clip and mask, but clip the color only. That's first. And then what I can do is still allow that to be in the background. Boom. Take my rectangle 1 copy, control click it, and let's create that as a group with the layer mask. Woo! So that works. Alright, and then we can duplicate this now. Alt, click and drag. And we just barely wanted a little tiny break up there, just so we know where to fold it. Alright, so we'll call this one the front pocket square, and this will be the back of the pocket square. Is that a cue? There we go. Alright, so, and then within them has the color that applies to the logo that has the background color. So let's test out to make sure that the back we can make larger, or was it smaller? It was smaller. We'll do 25. There we go. So we know there's a difference between the front and the back. We have the tie. And then I'm going to, for the color 1, what in the world? Did that do some 3D stuff or what? That is not what I intended to do. Control T. I feel like something's going on there. Alright, so before I start cleaning this up, let's make sure it works for y'all. Okay, so tie, cufflinks. So what about the cufflinks? Do we want the cufflinks to have the smart colors too? Let's say yes. And let's take color 1 and color 2. And bring it over to the cufflink. Right above the cufflink. And remember, we have our monogram. So color 1 is going to apply to the monogram, so we're going to create a clipping mask. And of course we're not going to see it right now because color 1 and color 2 need to be moved over the monogram area. And I'm even going to shrink that down a little bit because that monogram area is so small, we do not need this to be that large. In fact, the smaller you make it, the less unnecessary data you're using up. And the cool thing is that this is going to work for gradients too. Y'all know how I feel about my gradients, so I'm going to show y'all the gradients later on. But you know, I'm letting y'all in on the groundwork first. The not so fun stuff, like I said, but the necessary stuff. Alright, so then we're going to make this color 2. Create a clipping mask down to the actual cufflink here. I'm going to turn off the effects. Alright, so the effects are on there just to warn you. So hopefully, you know, you make sure you turn that effect off when we get ready to print. But I wanted to make sure that works. Now for a cufflink, we should not have to. If we design a cufflink once, we don't want to design it again. So, but I need my color 1 and color 2 to be okay. So we just double click on our monogram here. Okay, it's there. It's still a smart object. So let's group all of that. Let's group that cufflink. And we'll call that cufflink 1. And let's turn back on our tie image there. And then I'm going to alt click and drag cufflink 2. And then that way, if we happen to change out our monogram here, it'll change it out left and right. All right, and then for the tie, oops, did I pull my color from the tie? I think I did. Let's do color 1, color 2, Alt, click and drag. I don't know what I did with the color for the tie. Oh no, it's still there, I see it. Let's see what's going on. Oh, the color doesn't go all the way down there. That's what it is. Let's go ahead and Control T. Let's do Control T for color 1 and color 2. Control T. Zoom out a little bit. Let's pull that down. Then this way we ensure we got the whole distance. Alright, now it's time to check out the gradient. Let's see, if we double click on color 1, there we go. We're going to add a gradient now. I really don't have any colors on my new computer. So let's see. And I never really like the colors that these have, but we're going to go with one of these. So we'll go with our gradient. That'll be color 1. And hold on. Let me save this just in case. Alright, so color 1 colored over the actual monogram, and then I need to change color 2. And I'll add a gradient. So you have a choice to do a gradient or the solid color. And I think I'm even going to do a little texture, a little twill texture to kind of make it look like it's embroidered. And I will play with that. So I don't want to bore y'all with that part, but I have to do a little research on that to make it look embroidered. Find out which texture I'm going to use. What did I say I was going to do? Gradient. Let's go ahead and select the same one. And this time I'm just going to reverse it just to see what it does. So if it's 90 degrees, negative 90. All right. So that's a simple gradient. It's kind of an odd, like the colors are clashing a little bit to me. But I just wanted to get the idea of a gradient here. So let's do a little shifting too of the color. So color 1 really goes from the top to bottom here. So that's why you're losing a little bit of the color. So maybe I want to modify that. So see how color 2 is reaching all the way from the top to the bottom here? I want to scale that. So that I can get that full range of my gradient there. Okay. And the same thing with my color 2. See if that works. Yeah, that looks better to me now. Okay, and then if I want to, for color 2, oh, you know what? I should have made this more of, but no, everything that we're doing is kind of rectangular anyway. And if it's a gradient, it'll squish it down appropriately. So I'm going to change the angle up for this one. Let's see how that looks. This is the background, so the color 2. Okay, so it works either way. I'm just testing it out. I think I like it better the up and down though. So I'm going to have to play with the color gradients here and the smart color sizes. And I think that will make the file smaller too, because the color layer won't be so large. Alright, so let me play with that. And in the meantime though, what I'm going to do is just test this real quick, make sure it works for our individual objects. Lisa, we don't have a class on how to create smart colors. This is just something I made up, honestly. And I use it in classes, and I show you all, I demonstrate it for free on YouTube. As a matter of fact, I just did it just now. If you want to do the playback and figure out how it's done, it is just as simple as creating a smart object as far as a photo. It just happens to be a color. Let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and name these now. So those are the medium socks, this is the pocket square, what is this? Cufflinks. I might go ahead and merge my cufflink 1 and 2, or maybe not. Where is cufflink 1? Is that cufflink 1? Nope, that is the folded pocket square. So I'll call that pocket square folded, and I'll call this pocket square flat. This is cufflink front, and then that's cufflink back. And then this would probably be the tie. Necktie rolled. Because we have a flat necktie too, it's just so long it makes absolutely no sense to try to mock it up anywhere. So I think the necktie is going to be the focal point. Let's put it in the middle, and Control T will make it a little bit larger. The cuff links will be something different. Not a lot of people probably doing the cuff links. So we'll kind of set those where they'll still be a lot larger in comparison, because you just need to see that it's going to have the initials on them. What else do we have? The socks over here I think are a decent size. And the pocket square. So the pocket square, we're going to have a flat version and the folded version. So let's put the flat version in the background just so people can see that it is a pocket square. And then let's do the folded version on top, but a little bit smaller, just so they can get an idea that the same image is going to be on there. I think we'll keep this really simple. And if we happen to do the belt, maybe we can kind of show the belt buckle and let the belt roll up. Right now, I do have a shadow effect on the socks, so I'm just going to copy that effect, copy that layer style, and see if it works for everything else as far as the shadow goes. And let's paste that layer style. And I think the shadow works for everything else. We'll keep it simple. And mock-up purposes, I need everything pretty much to be white. Now I already whitened up my socks, so let me go ahead and also do the same thing to this stuff. And we may have to do it individually because some things have a little more contrast than others. So the folded pocket square and the regular pocket square look pretty pretty similar. So if I do something to one, I can probably duplicate that to the other. So first thing I'm going to do is adjustment layer, and I want to do black and white. Okay. And I'm going to make sure that this applies to everything except for the front socks. So let me group that. And then I'm going to create a clipping mask so that the black and white doesn't apply to everything, but just to this group here. And as a matter of fact, if I put my socks in there, if my socks are already black and white, it won't hurt it. So I'll put everything in there just to get that color out of the way. I don't have to worry about how my print is going to be affected by the underlying color. Now, I will need to do a little bit, we'll see. Let's just go ahead and bring our pattern over. So let's go back to our original colors. And we're just going to mock this up with the plain mode first, and then of course I'm going to play with this a little bit, and I'll have the full version of what we're going to do in class ready by tonight. So let's do, that's color 1, where's color 2? There we go. Alright, so everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and export the artboard to files. And these will actually be my printable files. So I'm going to make a folder here, and I'm going to call this printables, or maybe I just call it print. Make it simple. And then we'll just call this print dash, and it's going to put the suffix on there of whichever tile it is. And I wanted to export them as JPEGs only because it will be easier to keep the scale. So let's do artboard content only and crank the quality up to 12, and let's run it. And I really should have shut down all my other stuff while I'm running the actions, just to make sure it's not going to be overwhelming to the computer. But it's already started, so we're just going to pray we get to the end. Alright, so it said it was successful. That means that now I should have a file where I put it into my 132 course. I have a folder called print. And I'm going to go ahead and, this will already be done for y'all. Y'all won't have to do this. But I'm just showing you how I do what I do. So there's the tie. I need to bring it above the black and white group. So I'll scale these things accordingly, but there's the tie. Here's my pocket square. And I can determine which version, which side of the pocket square I want to show. What else do we need to bring in? The socks. Alright, so what I'm going to do for these 3 layers is go ahead and put them on multiply, just so I can see what it's applying to and how it applies to the stuff underneath. So now you can kind of see we see the satin effect of the pocket square. We can see a little bit of the satin effect on the tie. And oh yeah, I need to bring over the monogram. Oh, the monogram is down near the bottom of the tie. So I'll pull those over too. Alright, so let's see how we're going to make this little mock-up thing work. Once I get everything black and white, I think this looks fine the way it is. So now that I have all of this black and white, I'm going to just go ahead and pull it above each of the elements here, the black and white. And then I'm going to right click and merge that down. So it makes everything black and white that I have this in front of. So once I merge it down, that image no longer has color to it. It is officially black and white. All right, and it still has this little drop shadow effect to each layer. So that's cool. All right, now I can take, like for instance, my sock design, place it over the sock, right click, and create a clipping mask for the socks. So I'm going to scale this accordingly though, because that sock print should be about the same size as the sock. And I believe this was a 13 by 19 page, so get right outside of that. There we go. So that's kind of an accurate depiction of the scale of the design. Let's go for the tie. So the tie, of course, is super, super long, remember? And I want to take the print for the tie, drag it in front of the tie, right click, create a clipping mask. Of course, you will not have to do all this. This will all be ready for class. Your responsibility will be learning how to edit these things. But for those of you who really want to learn the from scratch stuff, every now and then when I have the energy to do so, I'll talk you through my from scratch stuff. All right, and if you recall, that tie was about 60 inches tall, so just to cover it here, we are substantially stretching that out. But that's what our tie would look like. And let's do the pocket square. Oops, I just need the pocket square print. And I'm going to make sure, remember we had just a little bit of bleed area outside. So maybe I'll do this scale, the smaller scale for the folded version. And then I will have to Alt, click and drag that. So put that above the folded pocket square, create a clipping mask. So now it's clipped down to that small one. And then the big one, I will clip to the flat one. Like so. Oh my Lord. Helena, my prayers are absolutely with you and you, baby girl. Oh my gosh, I cannot imagine what you're going through right now. I'm so sorry, love. I'm so sorry. Our prayers are absolutely with you. Everyone here right now. Helena is definitely one of those ones that will not miss class unless it were an absolute necessity. And I'm really going to miss her, but I understand that health is priority, and I absolutely am praying that she fully recovers better than ever. Thank you so much for letting me know, love. And Erica, if you will make note for me, please, to make sure that we go ahead and put a credit on her account so it doesn't charge her, because that's an extenuating circumstance, and I think we can basically pay it forward for our next few months if we need to keep her on track with the academy. Okay? Absolutely. I'm so sorry. And thank you, Lisa. Thank you to you all, Eunice, everybody sending your prayers up. I just happened to glance at that, and definitely very, very, very fond of Helena, and I know that most of us here who attend class know her. You're welcome, love. And you're welcome too. Also, if you want to, step in her shoes and attend class or whatever, I'll take care of you just as you're my own. Come on in. If you have any interest in Photoshop and you want to continue running stuff, and mom says it's okay, I will definitely help you out, okay? If that's what you want to do. So just let me know. I'm definitely here for you all because you all are here for me. Okay, I see all the love here, y'all. This makes me so happy to know that we, you know, we really care for one another and we stand up for one another. So, absolutely. All right, so there's one more thing that I want to do here, which was to put the monogram on the cufflinks, right? So like I said, when you do this, you're not going to have to do all this anymore. This is me prepping the file for you. So when I do my demo class later, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that is a lot easier because you're not going to be doing everything I'm doing right now. None of what I'm doing right now you're going to have to do. You are going to get to focus on the cutesy stuff, the design stuff. All right, so, oops. I thought I was bringing the print. So I'm bringing the print up to the cufflinks now. And basically, oh, I forgot to turn my blue off. So what's going to happen is, but well, you know what? The blue should fall off naturally. This is going to be a big old piece just to get this little bitty M down here. Yeah, I should have thought about that ahead of time. I knew. I'm trying to think. I'm probably going to put the monogram somewhere else. Although it fits well on the ties, this is only for the mock-up, so I'm good. We won't have to worry about that. And this is a smart object, so basically whenever we change it out, it'll change it out in all places. So I will only have to do this one time, and oh my goodness, this is already a lot. You see how much I have to stretch this out to get this little monogram on this cufflink? Hold on. Let me go ahead and turn my guides off. Let me go to view, show. Let me turn these guides off. A lot of you asked me how to do that too. I feel like I've been stretching this for days. So yeah, if I were to have put this on another one instead of the tie, I would not be stretching this out this much because the tie is so long. It is taking so long to get this bigger. And it might even be maxed out. Is it? I thought maybe it was maxed out or something. Or maybe I'm just tripping. I'm tripping. I think it is maxed out. Let me do something else here. Because that's not going to work. That's too much work. And it's probably making the file a lot larger than it has to be because that particular image is huge on this board. Alright, so let's do this then. We'll take that little cufflink there. And I'm going to make a separate little artboard for it, but I'll put it, I think I can still put it on the tie while creating a separate artboard for it. Think through that for a second. So new artboard, right? Let's put it on top of this one. So it will still print out on the tie. But we have a separate artboard. We'll take the cuff link here and here and drag it to that artboard. But we'll make this artboard transparent. Boom. Call this artboard the cufflinks. However, I think when it separates it, it's going to send them separate. So I have to figure out how that goes. This is a lot of my problem solving skills. I'm kind of thinking out loud right now. And like we said, we wanted to turn the effects off for the link. So that when we go to print it, so now I'm going to export again. Let's try this. Export, artboard to files, and see if it gives me my cuff links. And all I want right now is the artboard. So I'm going to put export selected artboards because I only want the cuff links. I don't want everything else all over again. Oh, you know what? I'll take that off because I do want to see if the tie is going to have it on there. which I don't think it will because I don't have include overlapping areas turned on and I don't want that on. Let's do include overlapping areas and let's see. We shall see. This is going to be interesting. This is me talking to myself and working through this stuff, which I really hope that you all don't have to go through this unless you really want to. If this is your thing and you really like to problem solve and go through this stuff, by all means, tackle it. Let's see. So I said I was going to call this print dash. Let's see what I end up with. And just in case, I'm going to make a different print folder. I'm going to call this print 2. So I'll see what the difference is there. Let's run it. And still, I did not save and close out of my other files that I have open. Y'all, I test the limits every time I do something. Thank you, Found It Away, and thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it. I will also, I don't know if I'm gonna do it live tonight because I'm probably gonna run out of my voice steam, but I'm working on doing the all over-ish template as a 24-inch printed file for Danica, and I know that that will be something some of you may be interested in too, so I'll have that file available as well for purchase. But y'all, I can't be mad because y'all give me plenty of ideas to work on. Plenty. When I tell you plenty, plenty. All right, let's see what happens with this print file now. Let's go to our print 2, see what happens. Okay, so I got my little cufflinks. What happened with my tie? I can't really see if it has. Let me see. Oh, so cool. So those were the proper settings. So when I tell y'all to do this in class, I know the proper settings to tell y'all so that the tie prints with the monogram, so that it's printable with the monogram. And then the cufflinks printed separately if you want to print the cufflinks separately. There we go. All right, all right, all right. Okay, so let me go ahead while I'm in a good mood. I think I accomplished something. Let me drag and drop those cufflinks over there. And y'all, this is going to be so much easier to resize. Let me tell you. Yes. All right, so let's go ahead and we have it on multiply. So I'm going to put the cufflinks print on multiply as the blend mode. And I have to lighten up. You see that that white is not really white, so I'm gonna lighten it up and then you'll see how this is gonna make more sense. But for right now, I want to get my placement right. Control T, because I know there's a little bit of bleed on there, but essentially I shouldn't see any of that extra stuff there. I'm pretty much just gonna see the initials. That's it. Now, of course, if you do something like put a photo in the background or something like that, maybe even watermark a photo in the background, that'll be cool. So the other part of this class is I know that some people are going to want to do photo stuff. That's not going to be for this particular project, okay? We are going to do a photo version of this after this class. This one is supposed to be about learning about patterns, prints, and making your own little monogram logo. That's it. We will have a version of the class that we do for, like I said, we'll do it for graduation, where we'll put the photos on there, and so you can make a photo tie. Maybe for a remembrance gift, you can do a pocket square that either the people can wear in remembrance of the individual who passed, or I did one where I did all of the children of the deceased on a pocket square, and that's what they buried him in. When in his suit, he had that pocket square with the collage of the photos of his kids on him. So that was very special. But I'm sure y'all can figure out all kind of ways to use this. It's just up to me to go ahead and get it out there to you so that you can put this stuff to work. All right, so like I said, I'm gonna whiten up this little area here, and I kind of like that it has some shadows in it, but it's way too dark. So let me grab my little shape tool here, and I'm going to try to get right up in there. And like I said, this wasn't a perfect circle, so I do have to kind of move it independently. And then I'm going to take that circle and bring it underneath. And I'll take the opacity for that circle and bring it down quite a bit. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to put it on the cuff link for the back, except this one's going to have to be squished in because that's not a real circle, right? And I think I'm holding down Alt, but this thing, my keyboard is tripping, y'all. Alt. Oh, maybe I need to be on my move tool. That might help. Alt, click and drag. There we go. All right, so that just duplicated it, and then I'm going to move that duplicate over here, and I'm just going to squish it till it works within the other cuff link. All right. And I might even have to do a little rotating to get this in there. Let's see. A little bit of rotating because it's kind of at an angle a little bit. Get on in there, buddy. We're almost through with you, at least this part anyway. All right, and then we'll take this same cuff link here. So let's say if you designed a left and right cuff link to be different, that's your prerogative. And if you wanted to showcase it, then what I'll do is kind of already line this one up for the left. So I'll put this one for the right. So let me go ahead and grab the print for the cuff links, Alt click and drag. You know what? Before I do that, I'm gonna do this. The same thing that I just did here. It would be so much smarter if I took the print and the ellipse, and let me go ahead and put a stroke on that ellipse, something crazy that I can see. And let's make it a little bit thicker. So I can see it. All right. So same thing here. Let me grab the print and the ellipse. And I'm going to drag it, Alt click and drag it right here. So then that way, whatever I'm doing, I know I hit Alt click and drag. This keyboard is tripping. It's showing out for company. All right, so let's see. Now, I can do the same thing to this one. I'm gonna take the print cuff links and the ellipse, and I'm gonna go ahead and link those two, so that if I start shaping one of them, it'll move together. And Control T. The problem is now I kind of have to move it by the square and not by the circle anymore. But I think I can at least visually see what I'm working on. So top and bottom is about there. All right, and then I'm going to squish it in a little bit. I'm holding down Shift to squish it in. And really and truly, I should be working like with perspective or something else, other than just squishing it. Oh, and then it's acting up on me. Come on, baby. Let's do this. Because you see how when I'm just squishing it, I'm not really getting the full, the perspective of what we call foreshortening. So that's okay. Just a little mock-up. I think that could work. All right, so now on this ellipse, I can make the fill absolutely white and make it no stroke at all. I'm just making sure I'm in there. Y'all don't judge me for being lazy about this perspective thing, because I know my brother probably would be really criticizing me right now for not doing the proper foreshortening. I think that'll work. I think it is what it is. It is going to work. Alright, so now the printed cufflinks can create a clipping mask. So it fits in there. This one, opacity. We'll go ahead and crank that up. Alright. And technically I can create a clipping mask myself with the pen tool, which I probably should do. Let me show y'all how to do it properly. I'm just being lazy. So let's get our pen tool. Let's go in here. And let's create some curves, just like we did when we cut it out. This is real pixelated because this is a mock-up, low resolution mock-up file. It's not the not a printable file. Right, so I'm just creating the area that the color and the monogram will apply. Boom. Alright, so that is the shape. That will be for the cufflinks. I can delete the ellipse now. Oh, I have them linked, so I need to unlink them. Delete that ellipse, and then the print will now clip to the little cutout we just did. And feather those edges just a little bit because your girl was a little lazy on that cutout. Alright, so let's see how it looks now. And then this one, what we'll do for that print is we will allow that to be the second monogram, just in case if you create one image on, let's say you have like the kids that you want to put on the cufflinks for monograms. Maybe you want to put one kid on one cufflink, one kid on the other cufflink. I don't want to assume that your cufflinks are going to be the same. Okay, so boom, there. The ellipse was there just to give us something to color in. We'll take the stroke off now. The fill color, make sure it's completely white. Alright, and then we shall create a clipper mask. Boom. I'm just seeing if it's a better blend mode that I wanted to get that little effect, but I think I'm going to leave it on normal because it is a white white background there. So if you did have photos that you were going to put on there, we'll do that later, but I will show you how to do that. Alright, so I want to say that's everything that we're going to do. I need to press these and make sure that these work. So I know the socks are to scale because we've already done that. The tie I'll test out in the pocket square and the cufflinks, but these will be available on the Innate Lab website after class. So Monday, so we have class tomorrow, Sunday. So Monday, we'll post these on the website to purchase so that those of you who are interested in putting your classwork to work, I'll have these available for you. And I have a limited number of them. I have some more coming in, but this is a test product just to see if you all would like this, just to see if the guys would like this, you know, type of set. I want to start incorporating what they like a little bit. no, Lisa. Actually, this class should be a pretty straightforward class. Um, what I'm doing right now is not what you're going to be doing. I'm just showing you what I do in order to prepare for a class. So this particular one had no photos, no special effects, none of that, and it's already taken me about 2.5 hours just to make the basics of the class. And of course, you know, I'm going to go back and clean things up and add some goodies in here for y'all. So it usually takes me about 6 to 8 hours to prepare for a class, just to let y'all know. So this part, I was getting ready to work on it. I hadn't checked in with y'all this week as far as well, I did some videos this week, but I just wanted to, you know, check in with y'all, let y'all know how this process goes, because so many of you say, hey, I have a product. Maybe you ordered a product, you know, in bulk from China, or you have like your own, you're selling your own substrates or something to that effect, and you want to know how to make a template that you can give your customers in order to design from. That's what we did here. You could just give your client, and of course you wouldn't give them all these different artboards. You would just do one artboard, and you would say, hey, this is my sock file. As long as everything fits on here, then everything will print on your socks. So same thing with the tie. Now that we figured out that this works for the tie, I'm going to test it, make sure it works appropriately, and then I'll have a template that I can say, hey, here's my free blank template that goes with the tie. So when I sell a tie, I should be able to sell the blank template that goes with it, or at least tell them, hey, just make sure that you make a rectangle that's 4x60 for the tie. But I'm going to do a step further and make this into a smart template that breaks up those individual printed parts. Okay, so like I said, it's probably going to be 2 pages, because I hate that it's going to take another tile just to get the end of, like, the last maybe 4 inches. But I mean, it is what it is. That's math. If it's a 60-inch tie and you need 60 inches, your paper's 19 inches with a half inch of you know, bleed area, you're looking at 18 to 18 and a half inch space that you can use on each page. So we'll have to do four tiles. Okay, so, and then the way that I design it for you, the tiles are already going to be, boom, ready. You will not have to wonder where to cut them. You will not have to wonder where to print. That's something that's going to take me a little brain power, and I'm probably going to go ahead and eat me some lunch. I haven't even eaten lunch yet. I don't think I did eat some breakfast. So I haven't eaten lunch yet. So I'm going to get me a little lunch and calm my brain down and work on getting this to where it automatically splits everything up for you all. And class will literally be, and I will still do a demo for class, okay? So for class, literally, we're going to do what we did to the monogram. Let me bring that back up. Okay, so y'all will have this file, and let me maybe do a different one. So let me do one like the Louis Vuitton. Let's duplicate it and bring it down here so we know it's one of our duplicates. And let's say I want to do my initials. So I'll do the W. Oh, that's a lowercase w. I was getting ready to say, that didn't look right. Let me do an uppercase W. So let me go back because I like where it was placed before. I moved it. Let's do an uppercase W. And in this case, the L is just really skewed. If you don't have like an I or, you know, something else, you may not want the skewed one, but you have that option. So I'm going to duplicate the regular old W and put my S. And then this is where we get to play. This is what we're going to play with in class today. So we're going to make our own little monogram symbols. That's really what's going to take up the majority of time, because everything else is pretty much plug and play by the time I finish designing it. And let's see. And some initials are going to look better than others depending on what letters you have and which style you're using. So my initials obviously don't really hook like I want, so I'm bringing it down so that maybe I can make it look like the S kind of hooks onto the W a little bit. I'm just playing with it. There we go. So I'm making my own little initial logo. And not saying this is what I would go with, but for purposes of right now, that's what it is. And let's say I wanted to use the slanted letter. It's a smart object. I can go in there and make an S instead and slant my S. The letters that you would typically slant might be like an I, an L, maybe even like an M or something. Because essentially, no, the M looks like it has a slant to it. So what's another letter? Oh, maybe I'll do Innate Lab. So I'll do an I and an L. So see how it slanted my I? And then I could also slant my L, duplicate the layer. Oh no, I can't because that's going to be another smart object. So if I want two slanted layers, then I need to do new smart object via copy. And then there's my L skewed. Now it's different. So if I change the initial out, so I'll do an innate and a lab. Duh, I already had an L there, silly Billy. Let's just leave that. All right, little innate lab. All right, so I'm over here impressed by myself right now, clearly. Or tickle, I don't know which one it is. Or sleepy or hungry, you know, could be all of the above. But let's say that's gonna be my little logo. That's what we're gonna play with today. You all told me you wanna learn how to make logos. So this is a chance to play with that in a very, very simple way. And everybody's going to be different. Like I said, different letters, different fonts, whichever style you choose. You have three styles. Like I said, we have the LV style, the Gucci style, and then the Chanel style. Okay, so you have those three to play with. And let me see what this Innate Lab look like. And then maybe that's I mean, it's a little plain. I could, you know, intersect them and stuff. Let's see how it looks intersected. There you go. Hey! So that's my new little logo. There you go. Not really, but you know, it has a little flair to it. So let's leave this be. I'm going to close out of this, say yes to save it, and see I got me a little Innate Lab. Little monogram. And this is what I'm saying, you can make something very, you know, considerate for a person. They're just something as simple as their monogram initials or the initials for your business or brand, and just subtly make it look like it's designer. All right, so in order to save this is what we're going to do in class. Y'all saw me create that little logo just now. That's what we're doing in class. So technically I'm demoing it right now too, so y'all enjoy the demo. Okay, let's go ahead and edit, define the pattern, and now I'm going to put dash IL for Innate Lab and say okay. So it has defined that pattern. Then I'm going to move over to my file here, and we're going to go to one of our patterns. And the thing about it is we have to do each pattern if we want our patterns to be interchangeable. But I'm also going to do, I think I'm going to do no, I'm not going to do a smart pattern because that would be huge because this tie is so big. So I'll figure out how I'm going to do that for the tie. But each pattern we're going to go to, and where did it take me? I'm going to pattern fill 1. There we go. That's for the tie. So I'm going to call this pattern tie because I have to rename this, otherwise I'm going to go crazy if I'm trying to find out where things are. This is the pattern for the socks. This will be the pattern for the front pocket square. And this will be the pattern for the back pocket square. I can be a little slicker and copy that and just paste over the word fill 1. And I think that's everything. So let's change the prints out now. And before I do that, no, I'm gonna go ahead and do it because I have them all saved. All of my PNGs are saved, but I saved them as JPEGs. So in order for this to work, I need to, like I said, y'all won't have to do this. I'm going to rasterize that layer, rasterize this layer, and the reason I'm doing that is because these are huge files, the printable files, and then I brought them into this little small oh, wait a minute. So for my cufflinks though, I'm gonna leave my cufflinks alone because I want them to be the very same smart object. So let me go back a second, because I want, when I bust that open, I want that to be the exact same size. No issues there, because I don't want to have to resize that little one that's at an angle there. Okay, so everything else though, let's convert it. And this is the same way you make smart colors. I'm making smart objects. Convert to smart object, convert to smart object. Those are already smart objects. And then the tie, let's go ahead and rasterize that layer and then convert it to a smart object. That way, even when I bring big files onto those artboards, it will not make the file big. Y'all don't want a big old mock-up file, trust and believe. All right, so Innate Academy 132 course, let's go ahead and say what we're doing. So technically, this is y'all's demo. I'm demoing right now what we're gonna do for today or tomorrow. So Innate Academy 132 course, we're doing, so we'll call this a smart color, we'll call this a smart pattern. We'll just call this the designer style smart pattern template. Cool beans. And this one, you will get the free mock-up. You won't be adding your own image, but you are going to create your own, create your monogram. All right, we have, of course, we have smart color change. You get the free template and the free mock-up. You get to, it's not adding text. And we're not going to be modifying blend modes in this one. This one is basically about creating patterns. So instead of modifying blend modes, let me put one of the things that we're going to be learning here is creating a custom pattern. Okay, so we are going to be creating patterns, and I don't know if y'all, y'all might have thought it was really complicated, but by the time we break it down in this class, it is not going to be a big deal anymore to you. Yes, Miss Sexy and Miss. Let's see it. If you use the graduation template from 125 on the tie, I'm telling you that thing will look so nice. Definitely let us know how it turns out. And Priceless, what happened with the tie where you said it looked horrible? Give us an idea of like what the issues were, because then that way maybe I can do a video of pressing, everything that we're talking about here, and maybe I can address some of those concerns that you had, and you'll have like a cheat video you can go back to and try it again. All right, I'm glad I'm checking on y'all every now and then. I know I get to talking and I forget. Let's see, smart color change, yes. Free template, yes. Create a pattern, oh yeah. No, we're not going to be adding text. Like I said, I want to keep this one simple. Do I want to let y'all add a photo or no? I think we know add a photo this time. No. So what can I say here? What else are we doing? Oh, let's do we're gonna do designer style. Oh, if I can spell. Okay, so that's the whole point of this one, is we're going to do more of a designer style. See how that starts to resonate with how we can really build our brands. All right. So let's let's change these colors for Innate Academy. And of course, y'all are going to get my mock-up, and I want y'all to take off the Innate Academy so for your customers, so that you let them know that this is your business. So I give y'all these mock-ups so that you can use them for your Etsy, you can use them for your Shopify stores, all that good stuff. So I'm going to use the colors that we've been working on here. And let me see if I can grab that dark brown. Here we go. All right, all right. And then here, for my bullet points, let's change the color overlay to that light tan color, and we should be in there. All right, so 132, ready to go. All right, y'all helping me build my class by watching me right now, because otherwise I probably would have convinced myself that I needed a nap, and that I'll be working on this till 2 o'clock in the morning. All right, so let's do file. Let's export that, save it for web, and that should be good to save for the class, and make sure that I put it on the 132 class. So yeah, this is going to be an easy class. The most that we're going to do is overthink how to put 2 letters. I promise you. So I want to warn y'all that that is probably going to be the hardest part of this class, is trying to figure out how to put your 2 letters in whatever orientation. So now, what time is it? 2 hours and 54 minutes into the video. So if somebody wants to put the time there, we'll do it after the video ends, Erica, for those who want to see how the demo for tomorrow, because this is it. This is my demo. I'm going to show you from beginning to end, and of course I'll have it where the printable part for the tie will be modified. Okay, so here it goes. All right, so what we already did in previously was we changed our monogram, double clicked here. This is what we're going to do in class. Y'all are going to make your own little monogram. So that's my LV one. I also have one to do for a client for a B and a B. So let me use the Chanel ones, and then that way I could have shown you an example of each, right? So let's duplicate that group. Let's do the B and the B and see how that looks. I'm going to bring it down here to the bottom, turn off the original, and instead of a C, I'm going to put B. And a B. See how quick that made its own logo? I mean, I might space it out a little different, or you know, something to that effect, but let me make sure these are all caps. I kind of like the lowercase was a little bit thinner. So yeah, I might let that little space stay between it. I don't know, like that looks like something. Looks like something I would not have just originally thought of. So it's playing with the monogram. All right, so that's a B and a B. Let's see what it looks like. Let's save it. All right, see, there we go. That's our pattern. So now we're going to go to edit, define the pattern, and then I'm going to call this one my BB. BB. Okay. And now I'm going to go to my file here, and let's say we're going to stick with the colors for now. Of course, we're going to change those later, but let's go to the pattern. So this is the pattern for the front pocket square. I click on that pattern, double click on it, of course, and I can come down here and see my BB. Look at that. Okay. Same thing here for the pattern for the tie. Double click on it and make it now my BB. Back of the pocket square, double click on that pattern, make it BB. And then let's say, for instance, maybe I wanted the one type of print on the back and one type of print on the front. They're independent. You see that? All right, and then finally this one, the pattern for the socks. Boom, we click on it, we change it to our BB. And now all of a sudden, your brand looks designer. Okay, so let's go ahead and also talk about how we're going to do color change. So I have color 1, color 2. I'm going to alt click and drag this to the top. And where do I want this? Where do I want this? I am, stop scrolling, buddy. All right, so let's do our color 1, color 2. I'm going to make a little swatch up here on top of the pocket square one, because that's what appears first. So let me drag that to the pocket square. And then you'll have to turn these off when you aren't using them. So color 1, color 2. Just going to kind of have them popping off the page a little bit. And let's say you have two things and you want to even them up. You want them to have the same bottom. Just come up here and align them by the bottom. Boom. They're aligned same way. So that might be maybe something you use just to kind of test your colors and get to your appropriate color swatches. So I'm going to drag that all the way up to the top, and it's not interfering with anything. So if you happen to leave those on, it won't mess up your prints. Okay. Because I usually tell y'all to turn off your smart color swatches, but just in case, it won't mess anything up. All right, what else? What else? So let's change smart color 1. And let's say I wanted to go with like the gray. Let's say we want to do a gray thing. Let's duplicate. And let's make that one gray. Yes, Eunice, you can absolutely attend class tomorrow if you do the membership today. If you do the $60 membership, the classes are included. And then if you do the $30 membership, then you get 67% off of all the classes, because each class is $30. But if you're a $60 member, you can take any of the live classes as long as you can physically attend them. And the classes are free for you, the live classes. And then if you're a $30 member, then of course you will have access to all of the courses that we're doing eventually unlock for free. You'll have, and you know what, I'll explain that in just a second, because I think that'll be, I think we have some new folks here who appreciate that explanation. But let me go ahead and work through this demonstration, then that way I won't be acting like I can multitask like I did just now, because I don't want to save over that. I want to duplicate that color. So I'm going to do a gray version of this and see if I like it. So I'm just taking that, dragging it over to the grayscale area, and then we'll see how that looks. Might do a little bit darker gray, but I like it. The tone on tone look. It seems really sleek, but I mean the pattern's already a busy thing. So if you can still have something that stands out and maybe not necessarily do so much, I think this still speaks for itself. And I believe that the guys would probably prefer something like that. So, If I do something extra, like add the little twill effect and all that stuff, I will let y'all know, because I'll do a little quick demo of that. But for now, this is good. I think this works out. Let's change our monogram down here, of course, all the way at the bottom of the tie. Like I said, this tie won't be this long when y'all get it. It'll be chopped and screwed. All right, so come on, buddy, stop scrolling. All right, let's go to the monogram where I can double click. And instead of like redoing this, I am going to double click on that monogram and just drag over the one that we created from here. I'm just going to replace it, because this is just for the purpose of the cuff link. So I'll turn that one off. Boom, yes. And then I can close out of our pattern. You see that now our cuff links have the new monogram. Y'all, I think this is going to be so cool. I mean, it seems simple, but I think it's going to be really cool. Okay, so we have that one. And so now I'm thinking. Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'm going to save this one as, I already saved it as a JPEG. So when I update it, I'll have another version of it as well with the gray. All right, let's do it. Let's do, now we just have to export this. This is done. Like I said, this is the easy part. The hard part was making the template. And the hard part for you all will be figuring out how you want your monograms to go. All right, so let's do File, Export. We will export the artboard to files. Now, here are the settings for this one, because sometimes we do this and we save these different ways. I want you to save the artboard to files. We're going to have a 132 folder, and I'm going to call this folder, I'm going to call this print. So you all are going to call it print. I'm going to call it print 3 because it's my third time doing it. All right, so it's going to go in that folder. And then I'm going to type the word print 3 because that's what my folder's name. I am not going to include overlapping. No, I am going to include overlapping areas because we need that monogram to print on the bottom of the tie. Then we're going to, you can include the background in the export. JPEG is going to be the file type. Export options are on so that I can crank this up to 12, and I'm going to run it. Now this is my printable file. So what it's running right now is exactly what I would be printing. Like I said, I'm going to break that tie down into little sections so that you can tile it. But it's going to end up being about 4 tiles. And Kenyon, yes, the actual products are going to be individual, but you can buy as many ties as you want, as many cufflinks. Like for instance, you might sell more ties than you sell pocket squares and cufflinks, so you'll be able to purchase all of that stuff separately. And of course, you know, we have the socks, and the socks that we have are considered dress socks. So when you sublimate them with that pattern, it'll go with this whole set. All right, and then eventually we'll get the belts in, which I'm hoping we'll get the belts within the next couple of weeks, so it'll be in just in time to do for Father's Day. All right, so here's the moment of truth. Now that you've exported all your files, let's check them out, see where they went. They should have went to the Print 3 folder if it followed directions, and it did. Boom, 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 boom. All right, so now let's go ahead and change out the mock-up. That's the final part, so you're done. That printable part is done, but now you need to mock it up for your customer, right? So let's go ahead and go to the pocket square, double click it, and then I'm going to go to my folder where the pocket square is, drag and drop. Boom, right in place. I don't even have to do anything extra. Close it out, say yes, I want to save it, and let's watch the pocket square update. Now this pocket square, oh yeah. So this pocket square, let me go ahead and replace this one. Oh, not that one. What am I doing? This one. Oh, click and drag. So y'all only have to do one pocket square. And then this one, I'm going to put the little small one there. Boom, boom, done. Okay, so now let's go ahead and change out the socks. we'll just go to our socks here. This is our literal printable file. We're going to drag and drop our printable file there. Boom, it's done. Let's hit yes to save. Watch the socks update. Yeah. And then same thing with the tie. Let's go to the tie print. Double click on him. And let's go to tie print there. We'll hit enter to lock in that transformation. Close it out. Yes. We want to save. And then the cuff link. So right click on the cuff link for the print. And we're just going to drag and drop our print. Boom. Hit enter to lock in that transformation. Close it out. Yes. Oh, shoot. Okay, so cuff links. How am I going to do this? Cuff links are a specific size already. The problem is the cuff links was a JPEG. And when I'm replacing a JPEG, I have to merge it down, which makes the file stay smaller because you won't have all these layers, but I wanted you to have the option to kind of toggle. So what can I do here? Let me Yeah, for the cufflinks, we're just going to merge this down because I don't want to do all that over again, reshaping that. Let's merge it down. Once we merge it and close it, it saves. It's normal. There we go. That's it. All right. So I will save this as an alternate. Let's go ahead and export. Save a web. All right. Andrea, I don't know if I'm gonna have time to do another design day, and honestly, if I did do it, I probably would do it live just because it would at least give some directions to some folks that are looking for what to do for a project. I usually don't do designs on the weekends just because I'm pretty much preparing for classes. But if I have time, I'll look at your email and see if I can squeeze it in. And if so, if you don't mind if it's done live, that would actually help out because then other people will get to learn from it. If not, then I'll let you know that as well. Okay. But I'll definitely look out for you and see if that is there in the email. Because it actually, after I'm done with this, it takes me another hour to two to actually get the files to where they are ready for class. So I have to clean them up, rename them, upload them on the website, make sure everything works, create the coupon codes, and all of that great stuff. So I don't know how much time I'll have left after I do all of that. Plus, I need to make sure that these print and press like I expect them to. So I have to test the template before I make it available for you all too. Let's see. I was going to go ahead and tell you all about the Academy if you are not familiar. Erica, I see you. If you could post the link for the Academy for me, please. We'll talk a little bit about these memberships. And I do have a membership for those who are interested in being a business partner as well. Those who are interested in basically using Innate Lab templates and Innate Academy templates to either design for other people and sell the PNGs, or to become print partners with us. So if you're interested in that, just let us know, let Erica Kane know in the Innate Creators Facebook group, and she'll send you the link for the business partner interest form, okay? All right, so for everybody else who's just here trying to learn how to get by on this Photoshop journey, that's what the Academy is all about. It's not just learning Photoshop, it is immediately applying Photoshop. If you see a class that starts with a 1, that means it is beginner friendly and you don't have to have any Photoshop experience to come to that class. But what you do have to have is you have to have the Photoshop program. And please, 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 if you don't have Photoshop yet, use the affiliate link because it does help me out. It's like giving me a tip without having to come out of pocket. So it really does help your girl out. So you need Photoshop, of course, and then everything else that you need for the class, I will give you, and then I will tell you what you need to bring. So for instance, for this class, you needed to bring a photo, and then you had the option to bring 2 additional photos, right? So those are the simple things that I ask you to bring. The fonts, I tell you exactly what fonts to go download. I give you the links and all, and you just have to have those fonts downloaded before we start class, okay? Everything else is included. You get the template. If it's a template, which most times it is, you get that template for free. The idea here is I don't want you stressing out about what these little tools do. I want you to enjoy the process of using these tools in Photoshop, using the drop shadows, using a layer mask, using the smart colors, all of those features that we're talking about. I want you to have fun with it and learn how to actually apply these concepts without stressing, okay? So everyone that attends class and it doesn't have some type of internet issue or Zoom issue, will have a final design by the end of the class. And usually our class is about 3 hours long. So we start at 6, we'll probably end somewhere around 9. And I have to be a lot more strict about our ending time because I do have to be up very early Monday morning like some of you do. So basically when you come to class, we're going to go through every step of changing out the photo, retyping whatever text you want to type there. If we are doing any type of special effects, I'm showing you how to do blend modes or anything like that. We do it all in class, everything from start to finish to have a final product when you're done, okay? And everybody has a final product. I don't care if you are an expert in Photoshop or a very beginner. We have a final product, and this is something that literally you get the mock-up. Now we usually don't have time to do the mock-up in class, but I showed you just now how to use the mock-up, right? But once you're done, I want you to use that mock-up, show us in the Innate Creatives group, show us what homework you did, and then I want you to look at your stuff and be like, you know what? I can post this to my page now. I can post this to my social media. I can post this to my business, and I can start taking these orders, okay? So the whole point is that everything like this 125, y'all have been killing this 125. I have to tell you, I've been seeing it. Y'all been sending them to me for the large format prints because y'all been doing the all over prints and everything. And the stoles, I've been seeing your stoles out there. I even see somebody sent me screenshots of y'all, posting your mock-ups and stuff in Etsy. And it's so cool. Let me tell y'all something. It is so cool to have thought a year ago when I was on Etsy trying to see, who was doing template designs. There was no one selling the template design for these graduation stoles. And then the designs that were out there for the graduation stoles were very, very basic, very unappealing, and you all have taken it to the next level. Y'all have really put some stuff out there that have been making this like, oh my gosh, I look at it and I can't even imagine that a year ago, we were literally taking squares of pictures and putting them on the stoves, and now y'all are, interchanging the logos and using watermarks and, your grunge textures and your gradients and your drop shadows, and it looks so good, y'all. I just want to tell y'all that. So somebody, screenshot and showed me some examples of what you all are putting out there, and that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Of course, you're not selling the templates, but you're selling your end-use products, and they look really good. It looks like you put a lot of energy into it, and I know that that you all are learning how to design these things much quicker. So that one-time file has probably you've been able to use it, 10, 20, 100 times over. So I'm impressed. I just want to let y'all know that. I saw you 125 work, and it is amazing. So as far as how the Academy works, I think that's what I was explaining. The $30 membership and the $60 membership are the same, except if you plan on coming to live classes like the one that's tomorrow, if you do it at least one live class or more than one live class every month, it is totally worth it for the $60 membership, because you're going to have access to all 4 classes that we do live. Usually it's live Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you are able to attend those classes. So if you don't have time to attend the live classes, then the $30 membership is probably best for you. And then if you ever want to get early access to a class, then you can just pay with your coupon code. You get 67% off of the class. The VIP members, the $60 members, y'all get 75% off of any class. Okay, so let's say for instance you decided to start today. You would get 4 free classes like right now. So you would unlock 101, 102, 103, and 104. All of these come with the video from the class, and it also comes with the free template. Okay, so what I want you all to do is when you start with the Academy, I want you to hit the ground running. You literally have 4 mock-ups that you can put out there right now and say, hey, anybody want this design? I got it. I'm ready to make your shirts. So so that's what you do when you immediately come on. Then every 7 days you're going to unlock a new class. So the longer you stay a member, the more classes you unlock as you go along. So 105 unlocks 7 days after your membership. 106 unlocks 14 days later, etc. Now let's say for instance you just joined and you want to go ahead and get that 125 template because you're like, you know what, this will make my life easier. Where is it? Let me get that. So 125 would normally cost $30 if you're doing a la carte, but because you're a member, you have a coupon code that's in your membership. And if you're a $30 member, you can get this for $9.90, I believe, because you're going to get 67% off. And then if you are a VIP member, you get this class early for $7.50, and you don't have to wait 20 weeks for this to unlock for you, okay? And the more content that we have, the more we're building, the longer we go, of course, the more options you have to either get the templates at a deep discount or wait for them to unlock for you, okay? Sharon says, thank you for class 125. I'm still making money off of it. That's what's up, Sharon. That's what's up. I'm so glad for that. Y'all got to know that I'm the type of person that I am actually more overjoyed by the fact that you all are learning how to do this stuff and you're putting your work into it than you all sending me files and saying, hey, design this, design this, design this. Like, you would think I would be like, yeah, give me that money, I'll design anything you want. But I'm much more fulfilled. Now, I will still help y'all out. Trust and believe. When y'all come to me with the rush orders and everything else, I really don't mind, and I really do love helping you all with that. But it does a little something extra for me when I see you all take a course or take a template and run with it and really make money off of it. It makes me feel fulfilled because that's my purpose. I would rather teach you to fish than to sell you one fish at a time. Woo woo. Teresa says 131 was the moneymaker for her. She says she's made $600 off of the template. What's 131? 131. The remembrance. Oh wow! And that's a new one. So if you made 600 off of it already, then it was definitely, definitely worth that. Oh, and let me change that price because that should be $30 now instead of 60 in case some of y'all wanted to open that one up early. So let me go ahead and change that up for y'all. And okay, so y'all are gonna be asking me when this class is gonna be ready. Keep in mind that I have to, before I make the class ready, the class may not be ready to download all the files until tomorrow morning, to be honest with you. I really want to get to the heat press and make sure this template that I made up for y'all in front of y'all's face works. Especially for the tie, I might have to add a little more bleed area or a little more length or that sort of thing. Especially if I'm talking about tiling it. So if everything works out, I'll probably record a video for you all tonight. I might do it live depending on how tired I am and what I sound like. Uh, but but yeah, if I can go ahead and record that video, then y'all will have a corresponding video of how to press it and not just how to design it. Okay, so I'm excited. I think this is going to be a real cool, simply designed but big impactful for your market, because it's usually the females kind of run it when it comes to the purchasing power and the the just in general the say so of what we're going to purchase. We sneak in our Amazon packages in the house and all that stuff. So I really want the fellas to have something that they can kind of indulge in and show off and really get their attention. And the thing is, this can be used for the ladies too. Imagine the scarves we can make. I'm gonna do a class where we make the ties, the ribbon ties that the ladies wear. Those are designer inspired. Just different things, cheer bows and all that stuff. You just imagine the many different ways you can use these pattern templates. And once you look at this, you can make this whatever size you want. You can fill this whole page up with this logo and press it on anything. So once you understand how to use these things, you're able to now apply them to the cups and the mugs and flags if you wanted to. Maybe even if you're making like a laptop bag, this will be a cool print for a laptop bag for your business. So just giving you all some ideas so we can start thinking outside of the t-shirt world. All right, and just that quick, I forgot what I was doing. I think I was changing the price for 131. All right, so 131 is now up. If you needed to use your coupon code, I will be changing the coupon codes this evening. I change them once a week so that basically the current members get fresh coupon codes every single week. And you will see a coupon code in there if you're a $60 member to take this class tomorrow for free, okay? Y'all look at this. Boom, confirmation. I wasn't even looking for a Gucci tie. Look at that. And see the tone on tone? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to look for something. Now I know that we're printing on texture, but I want it to look like it's kind of embroidered. So I might do an extra little feature where you can toggle it on or off. And it'll kind of make it look like it's stitched on there, like it's embroidered on there, rather than just printed. Okay, so if I get that going, then I'll show it off. I might show it off tonight. Just depends on what I got going on. Coupon cabin, get out the way. Oh look, there's a cute little belt right there on the back. I'm not gonna do all that though. We're gonna keep it simple. All right, but definitely that just caught my eye. And with this being your brand and not representing somebody else's brand, for $220, you probably can spend $5 and make this look like a $220 tie. Y'all hear me? All right, so I already feel my voice getting weak. So let me see if y'all have any other questions so I can go and wrap this up for y'all tonight. Hey John, no, I don't believe you're the only male, but the guys are always quiet. No, I can't say always. Let me take that back. We have a few guys, and the guys that do get involved are very much happy to be there, and we have a great dialogue. But I noticed that in our group, and just in general, in sublimation in general, we have a lot of ladies. So I like for the guys to come out and show their creativity too, to kind of show off a little bit. So I would definitely love to have you in class and showing out as well. Hey, don't be tired. I need your help. Oh, well, I gotta jump in there and help you. I just wanted to go ahead and get this one started because I know I don't want to cancel another class right now. So I want to make sure I got this in and you all knew what we were going to be doing for class tomorrow, okay? So that's it. Let's see, it's 7:39. I've been on live with y'all for 3.5 hours. Y'all done stuck with me. So y'all already know I love y'all and I appreciate y'all dearly. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for using the affiliate links. Even if you never ever ever purchase anything from me, thank you for watching these videos. It all of it helps. All of it helps. And I will look forward to seeing you all in class tomorrow. If y'all have questions, come on over to the Innate Creatives Facebook group and make sure that you ask your questions in the appropriate post. We have one for tech support. We also have one if you need template help. And of course, if you want to just show off and show what you've done with the templates, we have a post for that. So we try to keep it very minimal in there so it's not too much that we miss. But absolutely, I'm proud of you all. I'm seeing everything that you all have gotten through from this past year with COVID and all. And I am super touched, super impressed. And I would love for you all to continue sharing what you're doing, okay? Yep, Gary's here a lot. Yeah. So yeah, we do have some guys. Thank you, Lisa. And and Lisa's telling me to go and get something to eat. Yes, Lisa. Thank you, love. I appreciate it. Y'all be looking out for me. All right, love. So I appreciate y'all. Love you dearly. And until next time, y'all know what it is. Bye.